Hey everybody, welcome to episode 31 of the Reptile Rejects podcast. Tonight me and Dom have on Ashley Dezan of Northern Lights Reptile Imports. How are you guys doing this weekend? Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
It's a weekend. Pretty good. How are you?
I think I'm good. How are you, Dom?
Good. Life is good. No complaints. Happy to have Ashley on, so should be a pretty good show.
Hell yeah. How is are you still in the middle of cooling stuff, Dom, or is it just finally warming up a little bit, or no?
Well, it's definitely not warming up. I think just before the show we were comparing temperatures, and I was saying how freaking cold it is because it was minus 28 Celsius today, and apparently it's minus 38 at Ashley's place. So, I mean, it does get even worse. Which, for all our American friends, I don't even know how cold that is, but that's, I don't know. What would that be? That'd probably be like in the, that's below zero over there, right?
Well, minus 40 Fahrenheit is minus 40 Celsius.
Yeah,
So
like it's
pretty close.
ridiculous.
And it's above freezing here
yeah.
right now, so.
I actually just started raising the temperatures at night in my reptile room, which is like I've ended the dip now. So I went all the way down to 64. Now I'm back up to 69. So it's been 2 weeks of raising back up. Except for the diamonds. The diamonds I've shipped to Shands, and they are sitting at 54 degrees today. Right now I'm talking in Fahrenheit, which I'm not going to lie, scares the living shit out of me because I've never put diamonds that cold, and I told him to hit at least 50 a couple of days, so we shall see.
And is he warming them up during the day and cooling them at night?
Yeah, of course.
Or?
So daytime is natural, like 79 ambient and probably like 86-ish hot spots. So, but the night times are like, they're getting frigid cold. Like, it sucks. So
that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you need, but it took me so long to acquire those diamonds, and they cost so much fucking money that it scares the living shit out of me to put a diamond, like, to put just a snake at that temperature to me just makes no sense. Like, especially a python. I get for colubrid, I can kind of get behind
my
it.
My colubrids are at about 50 right now, and they've been at 50 for the past 2 months.
Yeah, it just
so
doesn't feel that, and it's not even me doing it. For Ashley, the only reason I can't do it is my room doesn't get that cold. So
Makes sense. I just use a wine fridge, but you can't with the diamond, obviously.
Well, you could, but colubrids stay, like, you put them at that temperature and you leave them there, right? Is that correct?
I tinker with it every few days.
Yeah.
So, like, in nature, like, it's not going to be the same exact temperature every single day. So I'll just kind of mess with it, like, I'll have it like 54 one day, 60 another, and then just...
Yeah.
I just pulled them all
And
up,
with
though.
pythons, they need the nice high temperatures during the day. So so that it's that continuous day. So I could technically put them in a wine fridge and bring them back and all that, but I have an actual cold room right beside that gets really cold. But that's not the problem. It's the wife does not want snakes outside of this room, so it's another big issue altogether. But anyway, yeah, so life is good. There's some locks, some things. There's been a lot of huge storms here. I think we've had I think we're at now 17 storms over 8 centimeters. So it gives you an idea. Like, I don't know how much snow you guys got, but we've gotten a lot. And it's supposed to be between 20 and 30 centimeters again tomorrow. So, but I separated everything because I've had to, I put them in for two weeks or so, and now I got to separate. So they're not going to be together for the big storms, but there's been so many that at this point it doesn't really matter anymore. But yeah, overall, life is good. Kind of in that period where I feel like I'm going to breed nothing this year and nothing's going to go, but I always get, at some point in your breeding season, you feel like nothing's working, and I think this is it right now. So, yeah. What about you, Michael? Anything new before we basically give the mic to Ashley?
Not too much. Well, other than we have a nice podcast announcement to do in a minute here, but me just kind of packing boxes, getting ready to move in a few weeks, kind of thing, and I'll probably take everything out of the garage and warm it up to a nice temperature to drive them out, and then set them up once they're in the new room, kind of thing. So hopefully it'll work out nicely. That actually I might not miss out on next season, but we'll see. There's no guarantees on anything. So yeah, and then figuring out how I'm gonna bag up fish and fish tank stuff too. Yeah.
So what I did for moving my salt water is I put them in 5-gallon buckets and just move them that way. The sloshing around just kind of helps aerate a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure
Yeah.
if I wanted to do that or bag them up and put them in the bucket. Like I was thinking of like I wouldn't take all the fish. It'd be like some wood cats and then maybe one school of cories just to keep it simple. Because I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
alternatively, you could drill a hole in the top too and just stick an aerator in and plug it in.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that, but yeah, maybe like because I'm probably gonna stop over at Greg's place on the way overnight and the way there, so maybe I'll throw the air stone like you're saying in there for overnight in the house kind of thing. Yeah, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I know. Oh yeah, in the UK, you have to keep an aerator in the box of fish or something silly when you're transporting fish in the UK. There's something silly like that you have, like even like fish that are for market, you have to like keep an air stone in with the fish while you're transporting. It's some silly
While
PETA
they're
thing.
bagged?
Well, I'm not sure if they're even bagged. Like it's
Okay,
some
so that, 'cause that would make sense.
yeah, but it's like it's still really weird. It's just like they're being transported. They're going to go like yeah.
Mike,
Yeah, I remember hearing about
do
that.
your catfish have like enough of a value to make it worth traveling 14-hour drive with? Like, is it not easy just to sell them and restart? Like,
Well, the babies. I'm trying to sell most of them, and maybe if I have 50 left, I'll bring them with me and drop them off at the pet store in Medicine Hat kind of thing when I get there. But then there's like I want to have like one fish tank, and like I already bought these fish kind of thing, so I might as well try to at least set up like a small tank with just one of the schools of fish I have that sets in a bigger tank, but I have like a 30-gallon I could set up and then set the other ones up to, because I got the yellow spotted newts that are in brumation right now too, which I want to set up and hopefully get them to breed once I move as well. So that's the main reason I'm trying to move the fish tanks, so I can set up the newts and get the newts going, so maybe have some baby newts to sell in a 8 months time or whenever they're ready to go. Because I dialed in with the baby catfish, I was able to dial in all the brine shrimp hatching and all that, so yeah, if I can, since I got that kind of under my wing, I can kind of take the next step with the amphibians maybe and see if I try my hand at that. So yeah, alrighty. So guys, we got a pretty cool announcement with a sponsor. So the Reptile Rejects is now officially sponsored by Cornell's World. So so thanks to Greg West of Cornell's World, we can have some of our fees paid for, and yeah, it's pretty cool to actually have a sponsorship from a good friend too. So yeah, if you want to get some top quality North American made PVC cages or even reptile supplies, you can get anything at Cornell's World, from your herp stats to your Repti-Rad heat panels to your general Exoterra stuff, your Arcadia lighting, your brand new LED UVB Arcadia lighting. He has all of that, as long as he can also make you custom PVC cages and custom glass terrariums even. Greg is actually more of a glazer in terms of what he used to do, so he's pretty good at making some awesome Euro-style dart frog enclosures as well, and custom stands for those too. So yeah, if you have anything in mind, he can probably build it for you and make it happen. And you can find Cornell's World at cornellsworld.com. Also hit them up on Instagram and on Facebook, and let Greg know where you heard him from. So yeah, thank you, Greg, and Cornell's World.
Thank you, Greg. You did that so well, though, Michael. I feel like every podcast from now on, you're going to be like the advertisement guy. You did that amazing.
I feel like that was terrible.
No, it was so good that it is now your job. I think Ashley agrees too. So, yeah, it's beautiful.
Nice and smooth.
Very smooth.
I need to get a better. We need to get that group where Smitty and Phil do that Fulvius and the black box thing, where they're really able to make it work. But yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, it's really cool, and also since Cornell's World is sponsoring, we can also shout out the Western Canadian Reptile Expo, and the next one of those is happening April. Let's see here, April 19th and 20th at the Acadia Rec Center complex in Calgary. So if you're in Alberta or southern Alberta, you can go stop by there to the biggest reptile expo in Western Canada.
Which one's the like the biggest show for the West? Like, you know, like we've got the Canadian Reptile Breeders Expo, which is the one big show a year. Which month is it for you guys?
So that would be August, but actually their April show last year, which was the first time they did it, so this upcoming April one is the second time. That last one was actually had more attendance than their normal August one.
How about table-wise? So like that would be the August
I think
show?
they might have more tables at the August because it's a bigger venue. They have room. They're only taking up like 2/3 of the venue. They could take up even more eventually.
Because I feel like if I'm going to come down, that's the one I'd like to come down for. Like basically,
like they're both good.
No, I
haven't been to
sure
the new
there
one,
is, but
yeah.
like even for the Toronto, it's a 5-hour drive for me. But I don't go every month. I go only once a year, and I go for that show because I feel like it's a little bit more worthwhile. But yeah, cool. Anything else to say before we bring on Ashley? That's obviously been waiting in the background because we know how to do that, right?
Yeah. No, I'm all good. Alrighty, Ashley. How should we start this? Let's start with how did you get into it, and give us like and obviously you've been on other podcasts and stuff, so people kind of know what you're about, but maybe give us like a brief overview on like why you're even keeping reptiles, and then maybe go into how the importing thing all started too.
Okay. Reptile keeping thing. Oh golly. I was the typical story of, the kids chasing frogs and snakes and everything, and I couldn't really keep any of them, so every summer, like, I grew up in Quebec and the States, but the important part of, I guess, the reptile side of things was while I was in Quebec with my dad, and we lived on a farm, so, like, there was, like a junkyard for tractors that were just condemned forever, and for whatever reason, like, that was frog central, and a ton of green frogs. Like, there was xanthics, paradox, your normal greens, and spring peepers. Like, it was crazy, especially the blue, like, xanthic ones are really cool to see. But because I couldn't keep snakes at the time, my dad's ex, she was like terrified of snakes, so the only thing I could do is, like, during summer, catch tadpoles, raise them up, release them, kind of thing. And I'd have, like, a little journal that I would write all the frogs I would see and, like, draw their little spots and markers and see if I could find them the next year. And that's basically what I did. And then my first it wasn't a reptile. My first herp I've ever kept, it would have been a firebelly newt or red belly newt. I don't remember. Same thing, right? I don't even remember anymore. But I had one of those newts and a pair of African dwarf frogs, and then it just kind of perpetuated from there. I ended up living with a friend of mine for my last year of high school because my dad had to move pretty far for some farm work. And then my mom bought me a boa to keep there because I was allowed to keep one at my friend's house. And then that was it. Everything just kind of went from there. I didn't follow any normal rule with reptile people, like when you first get into keeping, like where they start with the ball python and then you get corn snakes or whatever. I went boa, Amazon tree boa, paleogamas, then to an Asian vine snake, then mock vipers, like not a true viper, it's a colubrid. And then I just went down a dark path of weird species. And because of that, I discovered the Filipino Luzon mangrove snakes, like the blue ones with the yellow stripes, and I was like, I have to get that somehow. And I had no idea.
What are those? Are those the dendro, or are those dendro?
These are dendro divergens.
Oh, divergent. Yeah.
Divergens, yeah. And like at the time, I already had melanota, and like I just had, how do I get this thing? I had no idea. I was just out of high school probably at that point. Couldn't figure it out for a few years because it's just an image on the internet that you're seeing, right? And over time, like I moved to Ontario at that point, and I'd say about, oh my lord, what it was 2016? Yeah, it was 2016, where I was on like the German classified site, and I saw a photo of a divergent sitting in a garbage pail. And I'm like, I need this. It was like the ugliest one I've ever seen, but it was very new in the hobby. And I contacted the guy. I'm like, how much is it? He told me. I paid for it, not knowing how I'm going to get it. And so then he sent me off to a few people that could help me out. He held it for like 6 months for me until I figured it out. And then I somehow ended up importing 3 for myself, along with a couple other things with some friends. And then it just kind of went from there. It went just from like a friend thing to just expanding it more and more. And here we are 10 years later.
All right, so a couple of questions. First, in Quebec, where did you live?
So it was,
Like off.
part of Lennoxville and like Quaticook
I
area,
don't even know where that is. Is that close to Montreal or close?
Eastern Township.
Okay. Do you speak French?
So Sherbrooke?
Sherbrooke, yeah. Are you French or not?
Yeah.
You lived in Quebec and you didn't speak French. Okay, I was like, you're saying all.
The Eastern Townships are English. It's all English there.
wrong.
So like my high school was English, but that's why I'm in Ontario. It's because there's no way I could get a job there. So
So
I just.
because I'm a Quebecer and like French is my first
Yeah.
language, and you come from Quebec and you don't
Well,
even
okay.
speak French.
I will say I have a reason. So I was born in Quebec, but then my mom decided to, bring me to the States until I was 13. So from like 5 years old to 13, the important years to learn another language, basically, I
fair
was
enough.
in the States. Yeah, and then I told my mom I want to move back to my dad's, and yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the website.
Let's see what it is.
This is where you get all the goodies.
Yeah, well, that's where I saw that divergence 10 years ago, and I'm like, oh my
So
gosh.
what are we looking at? I've
Good
never
stuff.
actually seen that.
So this is the German
This-
classifieds. So like they have,
Yeah.
like you can look up anything by genus name and they'll pop up, kind of thing. I'm just looking up West Indian stuff, but like they even have like Jamaican boas on here and stuff, and Cuban boas. So I always I even look at this just to see if there's some odd species, like if there are any Bahama boas showed up, or because Inornatus are now onto CITES 2 instead of CITES 1, so they could
Yeah.
theoretically be imported as well.
It's just finding a breeder that could actually do the permits, because that's a whole nother realm in Europe. It's totally
So
different
I was
from here.
gonna.
Oh,
You can go back.
There's that guy in the Czech. I think you've imported maybe from him in the past.
Yeah, young.
'Cause
He does the angular bird.
Oh yeah, because he he had Inornatus a couple years ago too, I think. But then he hasn't had any in a while or something. The Puerto Ricans, 'cause those would be neat to bring in, because nobody had those. Should be here. There's probably a couple relic animals here, but they're not really known anymore. Although, do you ever get bored and look up the old CITES records of stuff?
All the time. I am impatiently waiting for the 2025 stuff to come out, because I want to just like check into some things, Like,
Oh yeah, because
I try to do it like, oh god, I do everything above board, and it pains me when I see like, oh, that's very suspicious, and I'm curious to see if it actually came in legally or not. So I'm painfully awaiting for that to show up. I'm just curious, like I don't care. But I am super curious to see like what actually legally came through, or if it did still legally come through, what did it come under as? It's just really interesting stuff to see. So, yeah, I'm always looking at that stuff.
So-
I'm nerdy in that way.
I was gonna say I'd love to talk more about the importing, just purely because I've dabbled in it only to realize that how complicated it was, and I've imported from Germany and UK, and I've exported to Japan multiple times, and I've had to go through a very large learning curve to learn how to do it, and it's been fun because all my animals are CITES, so everything's Australian, so it makes it a very fun challenge. So I'd love to see a bit.
Yeah.
So you basically, like, I are you willing to just kind of take us on like your journey of how you figured out how to do it? I realize it's for Canada, it might
Sure.
be different for United States, but I have an idea because I've done it, but I find it very interesting. You don't need to go too much into details, but
Yeah, I'm not going to go super into detail, but I could totally go on that little train for a moment here. So it's actually pretty funny how, I don't want to say memorized everything, but I'm sure we all remember Dominic Lapointe, like once way back when. when he was doing his endo stuff, there was a couple times where he had some venomous come through, and he had me go down with Environment Canada to do an inspection on them because I have venomous backgrounds. And there was some CITES venomous stuff, so they want to just, check the paperwork, check the species. So like we had to go in a room and figure it all out. And during that, like I was with him the entire process. And so I kind of got a loose idea of what you had to do in order to do an import. And then once I further looked into it for what you need for different species, from where, like it's importing into Canada is the same no matter where you're importing from. So it's pretty straightforward in that regards. Like we don't need health certificates like most countries do. I find Canada to be really lax, but you absolutely need to have your business import license, and you have to do fill out the forms and everything in every shipment, and you have to have your invoices and all your supporting documents every single time. Now, the problem I run into often, still to this day, is each officer have different rules, and or they don't know the rules and they just whatever. Like I would do my declaration a certain way for 5 years straight, and then I had one officer be like, "No, this is wrong. This is not how you do it." I'm like, "What do you mean?" The reptiles are under the same tax bracket or HST code kind of thing. And she's like, "No, you have to separate them. And technically it's supposed to be by each individual species, but I won't have you do that." And I'm like, "Okay, well then, what are you complaining to me for if I don't have to do it this way, even though it's the right way, and you're telling me to do it another way?" It's crazy. But it's pretty simple in a weird sense. They've changed the import process about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. Everything's online now. And I had to get a new import number, and they had me make an export number even though I don't export, and it gets really confusing, honestly. But it's whatever. Compared to the States, I think it's like it's a walk in the park. Because in the States, you have to deal with U.S. Fish and Wildlife. You have to have a broker. Like here in Canada, we could self-broker, which is a huge plus. Like a huge plus. Some days I hate it, and I wish I just had a broker, but then it costs a lot more money than if I just do it myself. So yeah, I mean, it's just general paperwork, more paperwork, more paperwork.
I think
and being very patient.
I think every single time I did it, each time they would say, "You can't do it, you're not a broker." I'm like, actually, the broker thing only applies to dogs and cats, because I think you need to do it through a broker for that, but for other animals you don't. And it's something that I've always fought. Like most of the times they won't even let me book planes for the animals until I have talked to a supervisor. I've had so many issues that anyway, just a side thought on my end.
Yeah, I've never exported, honestly. Like that's just, I mean, I do arrange exports. I take care of animals for exports, but honestly, I just have Sam do that for me because he's in Toronto. I'm way out here now. It doesn't make sense. So I just do all the arranging and collection of the animals and taking care of them, and just basically, here's the box and send this off to XYZ person.
So when you import animals, which city do you import from? Because as far as I know, it needs to be a direct. Does it need to be direct flight, or can you get them to land in Toronto and be shipped to you? How do you do it?
Yeah,
is that it?
Exactly. So there's a lot of things. So if I'm doing from China or Indonesia, it stops in like Istanbul and then switches to another plane and then goes to Toronto. It's a weird scenario out here now because Indonesia stops in Toronto. That's it. So I have to then have it forwarded to me the same day, thankfully. But at the arrangements, it gets forwarded to me that same day. Whereas if I do it from Germany, as long as it's Air Canada, it comes directly here. But it goes to Toronto, it changes planes, comes here. Same concept. But it just comes down to airline you're using.
And at which point do they inspect your animals? So if it's Indonesia, are they inspecting it in Toronto, or are they shipping it to you and they're inspecting it at the airport at you? Because I feel like my understanding was they need to ship it at the port of entry. Check the animals at the port of entry.
No, so it's at the last spot. So basically here in Winnipeg is where they check it now. Like if I'm getting inspection, it's out of random. It's not every single time. Basically, if an officer thinks you're suspicious, or if you had someone call on you as being suspicious, or if Environment Canada has a program, they call it, going out to see how many CITES animals are coming in that year. They'll have anything with CITES inspected, or just a random flag in the system just for a random check. But other times, like, you don't get checked at all.
You got questions, Michael? You want me to keep going?
You can keep going. I'm just intaking all of this here.
No, I find it crazy interesting because the only importing I've done were literally just for me. For example, I wanted diamond pythons, so I went through the whole thing and did it myself. I've done a good amount of exporting now, which has been a very steep learning curve, and I'm trying to figure out how to say it in a different way, but I find the prices for imports and exports, in my opinion, to be insane. Like when you price, like if I look at one of the two big shipping companies that do it, you know, when they say like $80 for the first head and then a certain price for the other ones, and all I'm thinking, like for exporting, the costs are very different, and I sometimes don't understand it, because whether I ship 40 snakes or I ship 2, it's going to cost me the same thing. So I don't quite understand the whole head thing.
Within reason, and it depends where it's going or coming from. So let's use Europe for an example here. To ship into Canada from Europe is cheaper than shipping to Europe. And I'll explain why. So basically, Europe to here, the first box is the most expensive. Let's say 800 euros, which add an extra 400 euros on it for the broker. They have to use veterinary certificates or veterinary check. They'll do x-ray and animal lounge care. It's silly stuff. So if I'm bringing 3 boxes in, then it's plus 300, plus 300, plus 300. And often my freight coming from Europe is around 3,000 euros for 4-5 boxes, because they also go by weight. Air Canada has been like 16 euros per kilo that they charge as well. So it all varies grossly depending on the time of year and who you're using. And then it's pretty cheap once it lands, because you have to pay the tax on arrival, and the cargo hold fee with Air Canada is like $200. But if you're sending, let's say, to Europe, depending on the country you're going to, you have to have a health certificate from the vet, which is not just any vet. It has to be like the CFIA vet that signs off on everything. You have your vet do it, then you take that form, bring it to the CFIA office, and then they sign off on it. And then Air Canada, you're probably for 1 box going to Germany, $800 to $1,000, and an extra box is probably around an extra 200 or so, depending on the weight. But now they have to pay for a broker to bring it in. They have to pay for the vet inspection again, and their taxes are astronomical. Like, it's 19% in Germany that they have to pay on the value of the animals. So this is why, like, it's 80 a head, whatever, is to help cover these costs, and the people doing it also have to profit on it. Anytime I've arranged an export to Europe, I never profit on it, ever. It's really, really hard to, with all the costs involved. So bringing in's a different story, but it's a risk of, are you filling a box up appropriately or not? Are you wasting space? So like if someone wants, I don't know, 2 bearded dragons from Europe, they don't want to pay that $3,000 or whatever it might be, right? And I guess $1,800 for 1 box. Instead, they'll pay $200 to bring it in, because it just makes more sense that way. So it just, is it expensive per head? If you look at it that way, sure, but it's still way cheaper than doing it yourself, and less headache if someone else is doing it.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. When we imported, like, I only imported 3 diamonds, and I mean, we were charged around $2,000 Canadian just for that. So in total, by the time we cost, plus the cost of the animals. So yeah, 100%, I get it. I'm just, yeah,
Yeah.
So what I'd like to get into is let's take Indonesia, for example. So when you're importing, I'd love to understand a bit the mechanism of importing. So a lot of people, so I'll tell you what I think it is, and I want you to tell me with your experience if it is. So my understanding is, if you're an import, let's say you decide to bring in, you order $20,000 of animals, right? You wait,
Yeah.
they come in. My understanding is that there's always a certain amount of animals that don't show up. So let's say you order 100, like $20,000 of animals, you'll maybe receive only 15,000 or $17,000 of animals. The other ones, they'll say we don't have them, or they're coming later, or blah blah blah. And then you'll have a certain amount of mortality, right? Because if they're wild caught, it depends where they come from. But so my understanding, and again, that's what I want you to fix to see if I'm wrong or not, is that once you become an importer and you keep bringing animals from certain areas, you kind of get hooked on to purposely have to keep redoing it, because if you ordered for 20 grand of animals and you got $12,000 of animals, you still have to pay all the shipping freights, the box price, and all that kind of stuff. But you're missing 8 grand of animals that'll come in on your next shipment, so you're stuck reshipping and continuously doing this loop around. So which is why you need to be a person that brings in a lot of animals all the time to do that. So I'm kind of looking to see if I've got the right idea for how an importer works for your type of business, or I'd like to hear what you think.
So what you're saying is not wrong when it comes to like the wild caught stuff, especially like strictly wild caught from Africa, Indo, whatever. In my case, it's a little different. I mean, this happens, but very rarely. So I'll give the two examples with Europe and Indonesia. So the quick one with Europe is I only bring in what's pre-sold. And shit happens sometimes, and I work it out with the seller and the buyer. But we'll go into more of that later. Indonesia, I specifically am working with Chris Applin to avoid ridiculous issues that you're talking about, which is super, super common. And sometimes, like, some farms might purposely do that too. Like, I'm not saying just Indo, but Africa or wherever. The Solomons, they'll purposely keep your money, not send animals. Oh, next time. So it puts you into almost like a shipment scam. You'll get animals, but not all the time. Like, they always hold back your money or your investments in a sense. With Chris, last shipment, everything came in. Every single thing came in. And other than the Boland's pythons, because they just weren't ready yet. So that's going to be the shipment, and that's totally okay. Like, we discussed about it, and so it'll just be the shipment. Not a big deal. But essentially, how I am working with all of my customers is you give me a deposit. Nobody pays me until before shipment. When Chris gives me the okay, this is what I have, and this I do not. So Chris won't charge me for those animals that he does not have. Then I don't charge the customers. I'm like, hey, here's your deposit back. That's it.
Oh,
it's
Oh, go for it.
Oh, sorry. So it's much safer that way. I mean, again, there was a few things, like, again, the Boland's, like, I paid for well in advance just because the exchange rate was getting scary. So I'm like, here, take the money in advance, because that was just something coming in regardless, like, into this household to, like, go wherever, to, like, the States and stuff. So, and then my customers were okay with waiting, so I just paid them up front for those guys before the exchange rate just skyrocketed anymore. But yeah, everything else was just deposit, then he tells me what isn't coming, invoices me for exactly that, and then those customers just got refunded.
But the majority of things you get from Kishaplin, aren't they almost all captive bred? Or is it...
So he has two lists. He has a true captive born and bred list.
Okay.
Like, and if you go on his Instagram, you could see, like, active breeding, egg laying, incubation, hatching. Like, he shows everything. I mean, obviously not for every individual animal, but to prove, like, hey, I have this. Hey, this is happening. And then you have the wild caught list of, obviously, the wild caught animals. There's no explanation to that. And everything that came in on that shipment, I would say, like, when they first came in, looked amazing. Like, they were pristine. The wild caught stuff, I say maybe except for two red-tailed green rats that came in that were like, you can tell they're pretty fresh, but they're super cheap. I didn't expect them to all come in looking perfect. I was actually surprised at how immaculate a lot of the wild caught stuff looked. I'm like, I would have just guessed that's captive bred. So, like, mite-wise too, it was almost non-existent. There were 2 snakes that, they had quite a few because they were a fresher wild caught, but everything that came in, I treated every single animal with NexGard, and within 24 hours, all the mites were gone.
So I'd love to get into what is, I want to say facility, basement, house, I don't exactly know. How does it work? So let's say you bring in a large shipment of captive bred and wild caught animals. So you bring in, let's say 30, 50, 100, I don't know how, you tell me that number. What do? They get to your house, are you keeping them for a week? Are you housing them all in all your temporary housing? Like, how do you do it? Do you hydrate them? Do you treat them? Do you leave them in their box and simply ship it right back to the person? I'd love to kind of get that idea of your...
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So when they first come in, I'm pretty strategic on when I'm doing everything. Indonesia, I'm aiming for it to be the last shipment of the year or second to last, depending what little anomalies I might be doing, like China or something. So like this year, I'm planning between August and October for Indo, leaning more towards September, hopefully, to get Europe stuff out of the way. So throughout the whole year, I'm doing Europe, which is 90% captive bred, some long-term captive stuff. There might be the odd wild caught from a legitimate good seller where they treat it themselves anyway, and so it just might as well just deem it acclimated or whatever. So those guys all come in without any other outsourced like Indonesia stuff, so there's no cross-contamination issues going on. Whenever there's issues, which is pretty rare with the Europe stuff, but it happens, there's sometimes some sellers are pretty shitty to the customers that the customer might have found themselves, because I don't strictly sell animals. Like, there's a lot of, or broker animals, I guess, in this case, but a lot of people will be like, hey, I found this seller with this species, can I bring it in? Of course, like, you deal with your seller, here's the information of how to get the animal to my exporter, and I just charge them the freight fees. So sometimes with stuff like that, you get animals that might have, like, I don't know, missing toes or a scarring or a little infection or something, and I'll bring it up immediately to the buyer and be like, hey, this is what's going on. I always have my vet on call. Do you want me to just deal with it? And I'll always start dealing with it, whatever. And more often than not, like, the customers are always very open to me and my vet kind of just like dealing with it. Like, I always have meds on hand. My vet says, okay, do X, Y, Z for whatever the issue is. And sometimes I'll hold them over until the animal is deemed safe to ship out to the customer. Or if the customer wants to deal with it themselves and the animal is hardy enough, then they can still go. But past that, no. Oh, gosh.
I remember that post from because you had that
every
one
year.
good post of the
Every
really
freaking
pink.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so like I do absolutely do my best due diligence to look for issues that might be going on. If there's mites, I make sure I treat for mites right away. I isolate the animal and check all the ones that were around it. And hydration wise, soaking is, it's always like a general go-to if I need to, but for emergency cases, I always have an ACL, the sodium chloride. Wow. Anyway, the stuff to rehydrate. No.
NaCl is
NaCl. It's sodium frickin'.
sodium chloride.
That's sodium.
That's
yeah,
NaCl.
Yes. Sodium chloride. Yeah, exactly. But it's the little baggie you get, right? The IV bag that you get like when you're at the hospital or something.
Which is
and
saline. That's NaCl.
Okay, when I'm thinking saline for like the eyes, it's not the same. It's the same, but it's not the same. Like it's It's weird. My vet explained
Dom's
it
a
to me.
paramedic, so he kind of sees it from the
Is he
medical
really?
shooting
Okay,
stuff.
fair.
Saline.
Well, that's good. So my vet told me it's not the same thing.
That's your
So
eye drops.
I don't know. Yeah,
You can use
I don't know.
normal saline for your eyes though, because often in the truck with my contacts, I just pop open normal saline. It works great. But anyway, doesn't matter.
Fair. That's good to know though. For like, I wouldn't do that. Like, just because it's not as sterile as like a bag. If you just have like a little twist top, but yeah, I'll do like the like sub-Q injection of saline for hydration for like emergency cases, and it works so well. But past that, there's really not many issues that pop up. Like even with endo, it was so minimal, honestly. At least here, it was pretty minimal. But yeah, I'd say out of all of my shipments in a year, I probably have like 10 minor issues that go on. I might get the odd no-show, then we work with it with the seller to like, get refund or credits, whatever maybe that the customer and the seller agree on. Some sellers will be very firm at the beginning, saying there's no guarantees because of how far the trip is, because I have to go, like, say, from Czech to Germany to like the airport, then to Toronto, then to here. Like, that's a long trip for a lot of sensitive species. So as long as the customer is okay with that, then the animal comes along, and it's really the only issues are frogs most of the time.
And some of those, like I know Indo, but some of the other stuff, you get some of those really sensitive. What is it? I'm thinking of some of those rare agamas and stuff that Justin Munsterman works with from Legacy Herps.
Yeah, the Dilophosis,
right?
yeah.
Some of that stuff, he's like, oh yeah, like it has to stay like 68 degrees, and you got to keep it this perfect humidity, right? Like,
and they only drink off a tree trunk. Yeah,
yeah.
it's fun. It is fun. But yeah, once the animals are here, like I have an entire. The room is full of like I have a few racks. Most of it's like PVC caging, like custom caging. I had Miko do a while ago for me, where it's like let's say a 4x2 with dividers, and you could just remove the dividers for having a bigger cage, smaller cage, whatever. Like Exoterras, all the cages that can have lighting have UVB on them, even if the animals are only here for a week. They all get UVB just for that little extra oomph for their immune system. They all get fed, they all get sprayed, watered. Yeah, like that's just basically, I order for a Europe shipment, usually around 10,000 crickets for a week. Yeah. I don't like charge the customers for that because that's my decision. I mean, that's what people should be doing, but I'd say 99% of importers don't even bother feeding. They might spray them in the box before they ship them right back to the customer, but that feels really dirty to me to do that. So I'd rather just house them for a few days just to get some energy back into them. Now, like some animals might not do as well with that. It's better just to get them straight going, but you're just gonna have casualties in the long run. So if they're that weak, there's no point in sending them off anyway. So I just feed water, repack, everything fresh and new containers, and then ship them out.
So going back to the live animal guarantee, let's call it like that. So I'm always curious about that because often, like, I'll give you an example. When we ship our carpet pythons to Japan, I end up telling them I have a guaranteed live arrival, right? And I hate doing that, but they need it or else they won't take it. But then if that one box gets forgotten outside and I lose, $12,000 of animals, I just lost all my animals, all my money, right? Which really sucks.
Yeah.
So now my question to you is, let's say you're getting in something from Africa or something from there. It's coming to you. You're keeping it for a few days, then shipping it out. So if it arrives, if there's casualty arriving from Africa, I'm assuming the exporter takes care of it. But if there's a casualty, let's say from Winnipeg to Quebec City, when you send the animals and you shipped it 3 days after, now does that become your responsibility? Does that become the person buying it? I'm just kind of curious as to those kind of things because there's a lot of shipping in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of little contingencies here. So my terms of service across the board, whether you're on my website, when you get your invoice from me, on my ads, there's always links. Even Indonesia, it's all on. Jeebus. Yeah, exactly. It's everywhere. Like, it's linked everywhere. You cannot miss it. Like, my Indo list has it everywhere. Even this year it's in red. Make sure you agree to terms of service. And I even wrote a separate one on top of this for Indo, which is the Indo one is also on my website when you go to my availability, somewhere in there. So how that works, end of the day, I am a broker. I am not actively selling these animals as my own. I am selling these animals on behalf of other people. So these lists you see, and that's on the availability, these are not coming in unless somebody wants them. So I am Kijiji. I am that website that people click on the ad and be like, oh, I want this from this seller. And I just...
Oh, the Panoptes are just like the normal...
The Argus, yeah.
Yeah.
The Indo-Argus, Papuans.
Mike, stop shopping.
But,
We have a podcast to do.
Yeah. Hey, look, terms of service. There you go, for Indo specifically. But, so I am literally just the Kijiji website with ads for the sellers. And I just help broker money from point A to point B, help to bring the animal in. That's it. That's all I do. So it is, end of the day, as shitty as it is not my responsibility of how the seller sends the animal.
And
You chose to buy this animal at the risk, knowing my terms, or at least you should know my terms after it being everywhere. I will do my best. I will talk to the seller, especially if it's one of my own people that I have grown a relationship with. They more often than not will do something about it. Like I had something where 2 of 6 lizards came in kind of because they didn't like the shipping too much. Now the customer is going to be getting replacements as soon as he could get more. That's what they both agreed to, like me as a middleman, and great, perfect. So I will actively try and make sure a solution could get figured out. But that's not always the case, unfortunately, especially if the customer sourced their own seller. There's nothing I can do about that. I don't know this person. I don't know the quality. For all I know, they're sending something with an obvious underlying issue they know about and I don't know about. Like, I'm not there.
And they could be putting you at risk being the importer, right?
Yeah.
If they're pulling a Hank Molt and having a secret trapdoor in the box or something, like, then
well,
that's
that's
not
just
great.
it. Like, it's a potential. You never know. So it's just... I do my best. However, I can't be held liable for those kind of issues. Everything gets shipped. The only time I ever had a DOA in shipping was really to the States. Not including like really cheapy feeder geckos or whatever. Like, shit happens with those because they're feeder geckos. You're supposed to buy 100 and be glad 20 survive, kind of. Maybe not that bad, but that kind of concept, right? But anything significant, never an issue. Because sending to the States, it's a few days process. I have to pack Saturday, Sunday, depending. I have to pack 400 or 500 animals. And I have to pack them safely to be able to handle multi-day transit going from here to Toronto, then to the States the next day. And they always, more often than not, it's fine. Except for the frog.
I've had
And with the can I ask if the was it so what how's it doing are you doing any CITES stuff to the States, or how's that working? Because I know the Aussie stuff is really iffy right now, even though some people have now been able to find a few ports that will still accept Aussie stuff recently, but it still depends on the agent you get at the border, kind of thing.
Exactly, that's the key. I was actually able to legally do Australian stuff up until 2 years ago. Like shinglebacks, everything, even with their permits, no problem. But now they want to see the originating paperwork from like 20 years ago that this species was able to come in legally. And it's like, there's no CITES permit for them because they only recently went CITES. How are you going to do that? You can't.
Yeah.
Whether or not like legalities are there, I don't know, but if they're not a CITES species back then, there is no traceability. Want me to write up an invoice?
And there was it in? If I'm not in, was it? I think shinglebacks were one of the animals legally exported prior to Australia's ban too. So there
Yeah, actually,
were
it is true.
100% legal.
I have the paperwork for it,
Yeah,
actually.
right. And I think there's a few
But
other ones too, and
yeah,
that
the
kind of thing.
problem with that, so I have the tracing of shinglebacks going from Australia to the United Kingdom for scientific purposes. So this is the fun part. In Europe, especially when the UK was still a part of Europe, but it doesn't, I think UK still does this too. As when a zoo, like a legitimate zoo or a science institution, produces an animal, they can legally sell it to the private sector. No problem. Unlike here, you can't do that with CASA or AZ. I mean, I guess some AZA you can, but legitimate zoos, you cannot do that. So U.S. Fish and Wildlife has this mindset: if the States is like that, the world must be like that. So the officer deemed the proof of legal export out of Australia invalid because it was for scientific purposes. And it's like, this is literally legal paper. Like, they were legally allowed to sell them to the private sector, but they don't know. You can't argue it, right?
That's how we got rough scale pythons, right? Is because I think it was a zoo in Sweden or something got some from. Yeah, and now Don's bred them and stuff, and they're gonna be at $500, $200, $300
They're not
pythons.
breeding. They won't even fucking lock up. But anyway, that's another story.
It's still early. You have 4 months to get them to breed. It's fine.
Yeah, so a lot of Australian stuff is actually legal through that method. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them are. And it's just people in the States, especially this, they always yell, like, oh, it's all illegal. It's actually not.
Well, some of it is because of Mr.
Some of it is, yes.
But also some of the same species that were brought in illegally were also brought in legally. So that's
correct.
Like
so
was it
still
Justin
an origin of
Zoolander?
legality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Dr. J, he talked about he imported from Paul, who knows how long ago he got his Western stimmies and all that, and then he went to he had the legal paperwork for how they came in the U.S. and he goes to re-export them back to Europe. And they're like, oh no, we don't know how this affects the wild population. It's like, but you stamped this paperwork. Like the parents of these literally came in the country, and
it's already there.
And you want to know how this affects the wild population?
It helps not have them come out of the wild. There.
Yeah.
So, if it was between U.S. and Canada, the one thing I'd love to do is bring in Aussie pythons from United States. Would you be able to figure that one out? No, because every time I ask, basically nobody in the States wants to do it because their train of thought is, I'm going to go through so much work, the chances are to just be denied by Joe Blow that doesn't know the rules and just says no. So
that's the problem. Lacey Act just says no in and no out, period.
Not cool.
Yeah.
But if an officer wants to be nice, it's fine.
When was the last time Nick was able? Because Nick sometime was doing stuff to Europe, but
so
I know they were finally able to get in a star python import.
Yeah, but the only way
and Don was able to send those. What did Don send down? He sent down those. Those Bredli Stonewash?
So I was going to say
things.
he managed to ship
but those are like just Spilota at that point.
Yeah, but that's good enough. Most people don't know what the heck they're looking at anyway. So a carpet python is a carpet python. So it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's how diamonds go back and forth.
Diamond's a carpet python, right? As babies, they look exactly like a baby coastal. Unless you know what you're really looking at, it's pretty questionable. Yeah, so the majority of Aussie pythons that are from the States have all gone to Europe, and then we got them from Europe because it's easy for us to get shit from Europe. It's just impossible to get it from the States.
Yeah, exactly.
But the States, you hear it often, they're having trouble right now even going to Europe from the States now. I keep...
Mm-hmm. You can't have any Australian stuff leave the States. They've hit hard on it in the last... It's been about 5 years now. This one officer put out this huge blanket letter statement saying you can't do this. Well, and then the guy got fired after that apparently. But that letter just is there, and everyone's way stricter now on letting any Aussie in or out, including
Except for
Indian
bearded
species.
dragons, right?
Yeah,
Beardies are the only one that they let in or out.
They don't care. They don't care about bearded dragons going in and out. So I guess there's been enough proof, I guess, US wide, that it's fine to do that. But yeah, It's annoying because when you have true captive born bred stuff, multi-generation, it's there. This helps prevent the black market that you guys are perpetuating by not allowing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would also just be cool if Australia was just like, hey, like, why don't we just like set up this permit strict, like they allow they literally do saltwater coral and fish, but reptiles, ooh, we can't do that.
I don't understand that. I mean, I guess it's because water is, end of the day, it's kind of an open source. The fish can go where the fuck they want to, but
I would almost consider the coral more rare than the animals to an extent.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Because I think, what is it? Oh yeah, there's also some neat stuff too where, what is it, imbricata, I think were confiscated in Germany in the last 5 or 10 years. I remember Eric or somebody talking about that.
There is imbricata
So so those animals that I think that it was that the German government gave them to a keeper or something, so that the offspring of those animals, I believe, would be legal to sell in the pet trade or something. So in 10 years we'll be able to keep southwestern carpet pythons, which will be pretty cool. Because I know they got some other cool stuff there.
It's super cool, but in Canada there'll be like 5 people that give a shit about that.
Yeah. Like, well, it's like Paul has the what are they? The Flinders ranges.
Yeah.
Those inlands.
Which
the orange inlands.
There's a few people that
they're
have
so
them,
nice.
And we could have brought them in, but did you see the price? I think they're $2,500 each for just a carpet python. So like, I'm sorry, like I.
Yeah, they're not going to sell for that, right? It's Shan. I mean, Shan's having a hard enough time selling his super nice looking gelatins, but people don't understand how cool they are for being a normal northern coastal. Are they a northern coastal or are they a...
Gelatins would be a Darwin. It would be a variegata.
Yeah. Well, they used to be jungles, but now they're variegata.
That's why they were called gelatin jungles, but they were never a jungle. They're not part of a coastal carpet python. But anyway, so just to give you an idea, the Flinders range would be cool to bring in, right? Okay, I am the first person in Canada to breed inland pythons. Okay, I bred them last year. Really cool. Do you know how many I sold in Canada?
Canadian.
0.
We are so behind. We are so behind on the cool factor.
And yet I did not sell. I have some for sale. And I'm selling them for like $350, which I paid $1,200 for the first ones I brought in.
For sure.
Right? And there's just no interest. So if you brought in the Findler's range, the other cool one, the weird, exactly that, it would be cool, but you would never make your money back or even break even because nobody would buy them. So I'm not quite...
And that's the problem with Canada, I find. And I don't really want to say it's a problem, but we're so behind on understanding and appreciating and respecting locality or unique species. Like, we're only just slowly falling out of the crazy morph train of ball pythons and cresties and leopard geckos. So I think once we get over that hurdle, these things will be more noticed and more appreciated, but they also have to be publicized for people to know they exist. Because the Canadian hobby is a bubble, for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, 80% of my customers are US based. It's because all my stuff is so on ball. Canadians don't know what they are.
Oh yeah. So, and that's like, what is it? That's like the NPR effect too, where like me and Dom hopped on the Morelia Python radio train. Like I actually don't have any Morelia, but then like you go down that rabbit hole and you like get in the whole reptile podcast thing of like the real nerds of the reptile hobby, and you're just like, wow, there's this whole like, it's just like there's so much cool stuff. And like you hear like on Roy and Philip's podcast, that was fantastic. Them getting all the like, they got big guys who commercialize like leopard geckos and stuff, but then they also got just ordinary keepers that keep oddball stuff around the world. Like they had the guy that bred Lanthanotis, I think, at some point. Yeah, no, they had like tons of cool stuff.
There's a few of them. Sean Harrington in the U.S. does.
Oh yeah, he might have. I'm not sure if it was him, but yeah, no, Lanthanotis are cool. Oh yeah, you got to play with those in that shipment.
Oh, worst bite I've ever experienced. Oh my god. Terrible. Honest to God, that was the worst bite I've probably had in the last 10 years for such a little lizard. Awful.
Mike,
Do not
Mike,
recommend.
can I send you a picture by text that you could put up on on there in a few seconds?
Yeah.
If I send you, okay, I'll do that because I want to talk about it after. Do you have questions for Ashley, or do you want me to go?
Oh, you can keep going.
Okay, so Ashley,
Or actually, I have one question. Would you keep Borneo earless monitors if you bring them in again? 'Cause those have kind of been on. Like I've been like eyeballing them. I probably won't get them anytime soon because their price tag is pretty high. But they're
Personally would
freaking
not keep
neat.
them, but I could see the appreciate why people like them. They're very particular with their pH and temperature in the water and all that. So they're more for people that would be accustomed to aquatic and darts and other just frogs in general. So if you have like fish and frog experience, they'll be a good one.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's what I kind of thought. Like seeing how
Yeah.
Keith McPeak and that has set his up and more. What is it? You do like that half land, half water with a lot of mud. They make
Yeah.
their burrows and you just feed them big night crawlers and small
Yeah.
stuff like that, and they're pretty neat. Kind of similar to Shinosaurus, but a little more, I guess, subterranean to
Like
an
the
extent.
underground version of them.
Yeah, Shinosaurus are cool. I think there was one guy that bred them in Canada this year.
Yeah.
Like
So
here
there's two people I know of that have them. There's Herman
Yeah.
Chan. He's the one that produced them, and then there's Dion that has them as
and
well.
Cody Joe still has his pair, I think, too.
I didn't even know he had any.
Yeah, he just has a pair, although they haven't bred yet. So, yeah, it'd be cool because like you hear how, what is it? I'm thinking Dennis McNamara from Virginia Zoo. He breeds them. He's like, oh yeah, they breed like every year. They just drop like
Yeah.
8-10 babies. Like he makes it seem so simple because it is fairly simple. I think you just have to cool them in a certain way, like most stuff. And you hear
When I went to Germany 2 years ago, a friend of mine like toured me around to some of his friends' houses, and there's one guy. He was a fire salamander breeder. He had Shinosaurus as well, and he had so many. His oldest female was 32 years old, and he had so many babies, including the Borneos. He had so many babies. He just didn't know what to do with them anymore. They're just like in tanks everywhere because nobody's buying them. But they just keep breeding. He can't get them to stop.
sounds like he needs to drop the price a little bit. If those things were like $500, it'd be like okay, I'd probably get a group of them and set up like a
Yeah.
nice like a. How big were the ones you brought in? Because like they're, was it like they get like 2 feet or is that big?
The
Or
Lanthanotus,
smaller?
they're small.
Yeah, I know they're
This is
small.
it.
I was just thinking like a full adult
big.
tail, but okay.
With
yeah.
tail, you're looking at 10 to 12 inches.
Okay, yeah, they're freaking cool. Yeah,
Like maybe
one day.
12. Maybe 10's a little small, but you're, like average, you're looking at like 12 inches.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to pull up Dom's
so just so we're
picture.
clear, while you guys are talking, whenever you keep using your Latin names for your random animals,
I'm
it
sorry.
means nothing to me. It's like
Well,
animal A did this, and animal B did this, and I'm like trying to figure out the conversation. But I'm gonna say I'm the
so
only
sorry.
idiot here that doesn't
the-
know.
So here's
This
the.
is Lanthanotus.
These are the Lanthanotus, the Borneo earless.
I've seen those.
Earless monitors.
That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
They
And
look
then
huge in pictures, but they are tiny. Like,
Shinus.
Yeah, they've got like a prehistoric dragon look.
yeah.
And you got the Shinosaurus here.
See-
The crocodile lizards.
I'm saying this for the people that don't know the Latin name. It's not really me. It's for everybody else.
Nah. That's just how you learn. Common names suck.
I know those names for the
Like-
animals I keep. For pretty much almost any pythons
Yeah.
I could tell you. But for anything outside of that, it's not pretty.
Yeah. Well, the problem is the common name. If you say garter snake to somebody in North America compared to Africa, you're talking about a venomous snake or a non-venomous snake.
Oh yeah, those African garter snakes are. I think Phil
Yeah,
has.
Elapsoides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Elapsoides. Phil has some. They're pretty cool. Yeah. So I have a question about the African stuff. Do you do that much African import or no? I'm just curious based on like Africa's like a weird funky thing that's obviously diminished over the years in terms of what
Yeah,
you can
it's
bring
pretty
in due to countries closing
few and far
down.
between. A lot of countries have closed their doors for now. They do that just to kind of help the repopulation of stuff and everything. But it's always the same stuff coming out of Africa, like Niles, blackthroats, savannas, red-headed agamas, repeat. So I don't have any interest. I tried loosely once for funsies. I think that was the one time I've actually ever lost money on a shipment completely. But I totally expected it from the beginning, A, because you just never know, and B, the species I was asking for is trappers would have no idea what they're looking for. Like they look identical to a boomslong, but they're not. And they kept finding boomslongs. I'm like, no.
Or
I don't
are you trying to
dying
get scap stickers or?
So
Or what was the
let me look up
species?
the common name. I'll do common names.
I think she's doing that for me.
So they're called the large-eyed green snake. Rhamnophis Ethiopia. Here, I'll put it in the chat if you want to pull it up.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'll pull it up in a sec. This is what Dom sent me to.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
So what is that, Dom? You're muted, buddy.
God, I look like I fucking hate that. So today I was just separating every animal. Just they've been together for a while, and I separate and repair, right? And one of the stupid goddamn inlands is still very food driven at low temperatures. And freaking as he launched towards me, I pulled my hand out to get him, but he just bit the tip of my. I don't know if you can even see it. Just bit the tip of my thumb.
Oh yeah.
It took me 45 minutes to get the teeth out of my thumb. I could feel him, and you know when you're scraping it, like, oh my god. Anyway, I pulled him out, and I was like, oh, those are kind of cool. And I took a picture of him. So.
That's pretty sweet.
That's my story. Nothing exciting, but.
Yeah, that's still pretty cool. I'm gonna need some of those inlands one day.
And I think, like, I don't know how often you guys get bitten. Like, I get bitten by little neonates all the time because I don't care. I just do whatever I do. But by adults, I might get bitten not even once a year. Like, it's just, like, freaking pisses me off when it happens. It's like, what did I do wrong? How did I not read this? But anyway.
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to get. But they look just like a boomslong, like a green-faced boomslong. So the guy kept finding those over and over. And I'm just like... He blew my money at that point that I sent him, paying for all the trappers. So as I just said, don't worry about it at that point. But yeah, these guys are. I mean, they're still rear-fanged, but they're not known to be like make you bleed out of every orifice of your body like a boomslong.
Oh yeah, they do look very similar.
Right?
Wow.
So that was the one and only experience with Africa. I have zero interest in doing an actual import from Africa. It's not in my interest, more so because I like to deal with the weird, obscure species. That stuff, unfortunately, I hate
cool
to see
little
it.
bit of species in that.
But you can't even, because those countries don't allow export. But I could get those all in Europe anyway if I wanted to.
Oh yeah, that's true. You can get all that cool stuff. Although, isn't there, what is it? I know Parviocula are there.
Yeah, they're now CITES too.
Oh, okay. But like, there was legal export or no? Because isn't that? I remember that was also in Solon World, in the part of it.
Yeah, I don't know
they're
how
shipped
that
out of
works.
Kenya, but they're collected in Ethiopia.
Yeah, but they're collected elsewhere legally or whatever. When it comes like from Europe, this goes back to were they zoo bred or not at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know. So at that point, how I look at it, if they're captive born and bred, I import them legally. That's all you can do at that point. Like, I'm not going to ask every single seller, hey, trace back 20 years for this animal, please. That's unrealistic.
Well, like Parviocula, they've only been in the hobby for 20 years, I think, since those first few imports. Was it? Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Oh yeah, they're
absolutely beautiful.
They're awesome. I remember seeing pictures when I was first in the hobby of those guys. And because there's Haria or something like that. There's like another that's like from a valley over or something from the Parviocula. Sorry, Dom. I'm going down like my.
Show a picture.
I'm going down like my Phil Wolf kind of.
Go for it. I'm trying not to fall asleep. I'm good.
Parviocula.
They're beautiful for Bitis. I will never, ever, ever Like if I was ever keep venomous again, I'd never do Bitis. They're so unpredictable.
Oh yeah, was it our buddy Phil from Herpeticulture Network? He's a venomous guy in Florida, and he's like, yeah, you don't know what you're doing. You got to be on standby for like the Bitis and like any of them because they can like a puff adder could levitate out of a bucket at any moment.
Yeah, like they don't move for days, and that's how people get bit. They get complacent, and then one day they just launch, and their whole body's so heavy they act like a spring, and they just go.
Oh yeah. His thing is like you don't want to tail a rattlesnake that's under like 3.5, 4 feet.
No, because they could come right up and over their body.
Exactly. Yeah, no, all this stuff is cool because he's a big telescopist guy. He does have a lapsoides because he used to work at Underground and Strictly. Now he does something totally different, but he's still kind of in there so he can get whatever cool venomous stuff he's kind of wants. He keeps a pretty small collection, but yeah, no, he has that. And he has some telescopists too. Those are kind of neat. They're like like you know what night tigers are, Dom? They're like an African version of that, but like banned in most places. Yeah.
He's just like, what?
I'm following partially. Let's go to Lisa's question there. Do you ship Indo-pythons to U.S.?
I have not yet. I've only did Indo once so far. Doing it again, the Bolins will be going down. Well, at least 2 of them will be for sure, maybe 4. But that's to be determined. But because this question was kind of asked earlier, and I didn't even answer it. My bad. CITES stuff in general, I've done the odd one down, but it's just babysitting and waiting for those permits, not my jam. I mean, I will if I have to, and if it's a good customer, for sure. But it scares me knowing that these animals aren't mine. I don't know their history, what could happen. Especially if it's a species that's new to me or fairly unknown in general, which is more than often the case with what comes to me. I don't love the idea if I really have to babysit, but I will for some people. Like right now, I'm actually babysitting a Moluccan python for the last
That's pretty
6
cool.
months.
Not many of those in Canada right now.
You could probably start your permits so prior to even receiving the animals, as long as you can trace the lineage.
Yes and no. So I use the re-export permits with Europe to make it go a little quicker.
So you're not doing it from scratch. Because if you did it from scratch, you could, as long as you've got the lineage, you could all do it and then apply for it. Because you don't really need, well, you need the proof of lineage, right, to apply for it. And I got the permits in 3 weeks for last summer. It actually was surprisingly fast.
Yeah, that's not about right. It's roughly a month.
Once it took me over 8 weeks to get them, but lately they've been fast. So.
Yeah. But again, I don't do my own personal exports to the States. I don't want to step on toes. Like, I've been friends with Sam for forever. So I just let him handle my shipments for the most part. It's just with the CITES stuff. He has a wait list. So I wait a while. But that's okay. It is what it is. That's why I don't do much for CITES unless I really have to. Or I'll just talk to them and be like, hey, like... Because I know, like, permits in Canada... They don't cost anything really. So if I be like, hey, I'll just like, here's this like a fast track if you don't mind doing this for me kind of thing potentially, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. The Moluccans, just whatever.
Those could just stay with you and you can breed them and sell them to people in Ontario.
It is the biggest Moluccan I have ever seen. I used to keep Moluccans. This thing's, when it came in, it's 12 feet long and it weighed 20 kilos.
That thing will never breed.
Oh my god.
I mean, he's one of the OG that came from Phil Lamar way back when.
Oh, so this is the guy so that's the guy that bred scrubs in Quebec, right? Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I remember, I'm not sure if I mentioned it to Stephen Cush or something, because we had Cush on, but I know it was in one of the podcasts. I remember there's being a guy in Quebec that's bred scrub pythons in the past.
Yeah, that's him. And he's one of the last Moluccans, to my knowledge, that might be around. I'm sure they're still around, but you just don't see them. But yeah, I'm just patiently waiting. Honestly, I have the customer doing everything because I don't know history or anything of the sorts. Oh, she's not even a customer, but the owner, I guess. So I'm just waiting for her. I'm gonna probably check up in a couple of months, be like, hey, what are we doing with this thing? It's a little large.
Is that going to the States or is that staying in Canada? States?
States. Yeah, so the person moved from Canada to the USA. They're already in the States, but because winter happened, everything's on standstill right now. So, yeah.
I'd love to get into what do you keep? How big's your collection? Like, not the things that come in and out through shipments, but what's your personal? What's your passion? How big's your collection?
So I personally, like, compared to other people, I don't have a whole heck of a lot. I like to keep the most pain in the ass animals. I challenge myself in a way I wish I didn't. So I keep Chinese false cobras, pseudoxenodon macrops. They are probably one of the most notoriously known for being impossible to keep alive. They're frog eaters. They come out of China, and shipping's usually pretty rough, at least in the past before things became a little bit more legal. They need it cold. And when I say cold, they can't go above 70 to 80 degrees for more than 24 hours. Like, that'll kill them. They like moving water. They like to be in humid environments, but without it being humid. So, like, microclimates you have to have around. Like, I have my guys set up where there's a bunch of, like, cork buried underground that they could go into, so it's cool and damp as they need it. Ferns everywhere to kind of hold humidity underneath on the ground, leaf litter. And I have, like, submersible pumps with moving water for them. And my female I have, she's probably the longest lived captive macrops outside of China. Most people can maybe get 6 months to a year out of them. And she's going on 5.5 years now in captivity. I will totally admit, bringing them in because the conditions they might have been in or come in, or what they were carrying, like if it's like fluke or something in their throats, expect to lose half or more. So, like, if you want to have 5, bring in 10 to 15. And that's such a terrible thing to do. But in order, they're going to keep coming in no matter what. So I'm determined to figure out what is needed to keep these guys alive. And so far, I have a pair downstairs, and they're doing okay. My female obviously is doing great. The male's fairly new. We're on a rocky start, but we're doing okay. He's eating. He's acclimating pretty okay. I used to have 3 others, but there was just an overheating incident when I moved to a new location, and I couldn't get the temperatures down quick enough, and I lost all but my female. I think, actually, how many did I have? I think I had 5. So 4 died, and they were all like 2-year captives. So trying to get that group back up isn't easy, and the overwhelming guilt I have doing it every time, it kills me. But I want to figure them out. I want to get them established in captivity, and they're beautiful. They're small colubrids. They act like a little cobra. They're colorful as heck. So there's those guys. I also keep Borneo locality red-tailed green rat snakes. So the blue ones, yellow
Those are
ones,
nice.
silver ones. Yeah,
pretty cool.
but they're their own.
Oh yeah, like Gonios in themselves, right? They've been tough for everybody to kind of get locked
These
in,
are
right?
next level to your normal oxycephalum from Indonesia or even Malaysia. Like, I have no problems with wild caughts with those. Like, you might lose the odd one, but these guys, like, oh my god, they just don't do well as wild caughts long term. And I've spoken to a few people in Europe too. They basically, you just have to breed them, get the captive bred going. Captive breds do amazing, really, really hardy animals. But there's something about the wild caught ones that just do so poorly. Like, no matter what you do, they just decline steadily. My old yellow female I had, like, she was old when I got her for sure, like minimum 8 to 10 years old. And she gave me 5 clutches. Like, and I only bred her twice or three times. But she gave me 5 clutches. All the babies are doing amazing. They're hardy, they're sturdy, like they're beautiful. I have them with 2 people, and no issues there. But I did unfortunately lose her just from whatever. Hey, look, there she is. That's so funny. That's actually, that's the Russian lineage. That was a terrible lineage. They all basically died in captivity. They're so inbred. But you can see my old yellow female 3 down to the left. Yeah. So I had her for about 3 years, and she gave me 5 clutches. And then just one day she just didn't do too well. But it's just, again, trying to establish a species in captivity or a locality. Sometimes they're just so sensitive as wild caught, but once you get the captive breds going, they're bulletproof. And they have proven that the captive breds I find they fare better than captive bred Indos.
Okay, that's good.
And they're big, they're impressive. The babies eat so easily. And that's my main issue I have with the wild caughts. Like, they eat right away, they do great, and then they just stop.
Do you think it's just a parasite and stress buildup? Like, at some point, like, they're eating, and then, like, they obviously have whatever stuff, but you don't necessarily want to shotgun them either, because that also does things.
Yeah,
so it's like that's that, and then that stress maybe lets the parasites kind of take over before they can.
Borneo oxys, all Goniosoma are known for pentostomy, so it's lungworm. It's not easily transmissible, thankfully, when it comes to the snakes in this case. But basically how it works, they're stuck with it forever. You cannot treat, you can treat it, but you're killing the snake probably, because you have to use ivermectin to treat them. And with that, when the worms die in the lungs, they go septic, they die. So all you could do is keep them as stress-free as possible to not have symptoms flare up. And the symptoms look like a respiratory infection, but it's actually not. So like those that get bubbly, wheezy, drool quite a bit. And usually that comes with temperature fluctuation, breeding. Like, that's because it's all stress induced at that point, whether it's a good stress or a bad stress. And that's, I think, usually what the demise might be with a lot of them, especially the males. Talking to the European people, in my own experience, males just don't fare well. The females do pretty okay. It's just the males just don't like to deal with it. I don't know what it is so different with them versus the females, but yeah, so this is my life with what I personally keep. Like, I don't really ever sell out my collection for like the reasons like this, and if I do, people that are interested, they know exactly what they're getting into. Like, I speak to them about it. But like my oxys, my wild caught stuff, I never sell them because I don't want to ship them, and then they get all stressy, and then they're going to die anyway, and I'm not going to do that. So all my stuff is my stuff. So
you're just building a founding stock right now with the oxys and those Borneos. So
correct.
That's why, like, I've seen you've sold a few, but like probably
yeah,
compared to like how much you've produced is like not as much. Like you've kept most of them, I'm assuming. No?
Actually, so most of them I've sold off to make sure they're in good hands. Like, my priority is to make sure there's captive bred stock around, not just with me, because if something happens in my household for whatever reason, whether it's a fire or whatever, then they're all gone. So I have 2 here for myself from the last clutch, and I'm raising those up for myself. Thankfully, they're actually the nicest ones I've produced so far too. And the rest are within Ontario, and with there's actually 2 people in the States that have them and are hoarding all the babies I've produced. So that way I can keep a close eye on them. And other than those 2 real pain in the butt animals for species, I keep boiga, so like mangrove snakes. They've always been my bread and butter ever since I was 17. I've nonstop kept them. And yeah, I've been breeding those for a very long time.
Which Boaga species are you keeping? Is it still the Divergence? And I thought I saw you
I
keep some
don't
other
have,
cool stuff
I,
now too.
yeah, I don't have divergence anymore. I used to. I ended up selling my pair to two different people because my female decided the male should be food forever. Because they are cannibalistic that way. But I got a few clutches out of them way back when. But now, yeah, it's Melanota. I have Cyanea, so the green cat snakes. And I have a natural occurring hybrid pair of actually Melanota and the Cyanea. I didn't do that. I got them from elsewhere. And they're actually super beautiful. Like, I'm not all for hybrids or anything, but when it's natural occurring, it's whatever. And they're so unique that you won't even know they're a hybrid, honestly. They actually have their own Latin name for whatever reason. But I have those, and then my significant other keeps a whole bunch of dry mark on. So he has like the Eastern Indigos, Yucatan blacktails, the Mexican blacktails, or redtails, sorry, yellowtail cribos, and then he has his, the smaller version of the black dragons, the water monitors. So not the melanistic Malaysians or whatever. Like these are the true Kamani Island black ones.
That's cool. I didn't know there was actually like a subspecies. I thought it was just a morph because of how we've been portrayed it in the hobby.
Yeah, so all the ones you see in Canada right now are the giant ones. They're not the little guys.
Yeah, because I think they're just being imported from the U.S., right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. If you look at their bellies, they have marks on them. Like you see, they have spots on them. That's how you know they are the larger the larger species. I guess it's not a subspecies in that case. Whereas these guys are jet black, right out of the egg. So there's those. Oh, and we do have tiger rats, Mexican tigers, that were growing up.
Ooh, which are those the Tamaulipas, or are those just which ones are they of them?
So the male we got from Jason Hood, apparently he's a mix because the Tamaulipas, he didn't have enough bloodline to safely keep them going, so he kind of crossbred them.
Because he did cross those. Like I think they're technically still pure. But...
Understandably, like I get it. And then the female, she definitely has more percentage in her. I don't know where she is from directly, but a good friend of mine in the States, he basically had her at Tinley, and we're looking at her and we're like, she's coming back to Canada with us. Oh yeah, you're not selling her.
Have you thought about doing the sulfurous too, or no? Because those are pretty cool too.
I don't like them.
Yeah,
I don't like them.
They're an impressive snake, right? Like Dom, like full on sulfurous get like, I think what is it? Roy had one that was like 12 feet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a massive colubrid.
Yeah, like. Me personally, I like my snakes. I've noticed my theme it's rear fanged with giant eyeballs. The tigers weren't exactly on my radar, but then when my significant other and I, when we saw them, we're like, okay, let's give it a go.
Though. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Have you thought about keeping Trimorphodon? These are the liar snakes.
I know what they are. Yeah.
I'm telling Dom, so he.
Okay. So there's actually two. This is why I don't like common names. There's two different kind of liar snakes too.
Yeah, because you got just in the North American ones, right? You got the California, and then you got is it the Texas?
Those are so cool. I love them.
They're neat.
But I don't know if I want to deal with more pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, they have they're little pencil babies. I think what's his name? He's down in Washington.
Connor, I think. Is it Connor? No, not Connor.
No, it's
Connor.
Yeah, Connor has some, but I'm thinking Yasser. Yasser bred them like 10, 15 years ago or something, and he had a hard time getting them going. But yeah, no, they're cool. I think you can I don't think you can collect them in California though, even though they're super common there. So I think it would have to be like somebody in Arizona because I think in Arizona is like one of those ones where if you get a hunting license, you can keep up to 4 and breed them and sell them out of state or something along those lines. So you'd have to.
I forgot.
And then
I have Thrassops too.
Oh yeah. The Thrassops are awesome.
The Jackson's black tree snakes are just giant, psychotic tree garter snakes from hell that want to eat everything.
Oh yeah.
But they're cool.
Yeah, those Thrassops are because they go through a super good color change too.
All right. I say,
Yeah.
can we jump into, yeah, I guess your significant other's snakes? Because I love dry marcon, and that's a collar I actually know. Uh, so you're like,
Yeah.
but they're not mine. I'm
Oh,
guessing you guys
whatever.
probably take care of everything together. Do you guys breed any of your dry marcons? And
So we have our his yellowtails are together right now, actually. The Yucatans have another year to go. There's a mature, proven breeder, Guerrero Mexican downstairs. We're just growing up a couple males that we got from the States and Europe. So that's maybe 2 years from now, but he has another adult male lined up that's totally unrelated that should hopefully be coming in spring.
how about
The
indigos?
blacktails,
Any?
the indigos, the female will be mature next year, but with let the males grow up a
How
little.
about importing? Do you ever bring
So-
any of them? Yep.
Yeah,
Any plans?
they're not impossible to bring in. They're just outrageous, and not because the price itself is expensive. The exchange rate right now is making it pretty brutal. Um, they're definitely cheaper than what you would find around here, but by the time they get imported in with the exchange rate, you're looking at the same.
Yeah.
But
What's your guys' stock for the Easterns? Is some of it Chris Stone stuff and some of it imported from
One
Europe?
is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So one is Chris Stone, one is German, two are from the
So I
UK.
gotta ask the price because
Okay.
I know Shan wants them. So what are we looking at?
For a baby, let's say if I imported one, you're probably looking at around, oh golly.
Was it 2? Is it 2
Math.
or is it like 25?
Jesus.
'Cause I had some.
More than
Yeah.
more than 2,500. God damn it.
So if I'm bringing in from the UK right now, you're looking at probably, like, with the import fees included, like 3,800 or so.
Wow.
But like Chris Stone sells his for 4,000,
Wow.
Yeah.
5,000.
But you're also on Chris Stone's wait list for 4 years probably, or more now. Who knows how long that wait list is now?
He has a lot of customers interested in his stuff. But yeah, you're looking at around 35 to 4, depending who from, because like the British pound versus the euro is hugely different too. So yeah, that's basically. I got offered some recently, but just, yeah, didn't love them, so I didn't offer them.
Yeah.
Like just quality wise, I wasn't in love with it, so I didn't put them out despite the guy wanting me to. That's just one of those things. Like I make sure the quality's there. I'm not gonna just be spewing out random bullshit on my website because that's not cool.
Inbred
So-
Easterns that are like, oh look, it's an Eastern, and then it only gets 2.5 feet.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole inbred. I don't know. I have my thoughts on that. Like I know it's a thing, but at the same time, incubation can play a huge role too.
Exactly, they're a really finicky species, right? Like I think John Michael
Yeah.
says they was it his take anywhere from like 110 to 120 days, like give or take,
Yeah,
kind
and
of
if
thing.
too fast, you're gonna have scales that look like shit, where people are just gonna assume they're inbred when it's just no, they're just incubated too high. So it's a lot of.
So I think I've heard of this. Is it just that the thought is that there's some type of dwarfism that happens in indigos that are inbred?
That
Is
was
that
the
kind of the thought?
idea, but it's hard.
It's not proven. That's the
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
Sorry, being a non-Collywood guy, I've heard of this, but I just want to make sure that I understood it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been talked about, kind of thing. But like,
I don't think there's any evidence, like actual scientific fact on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Maybe there is. It seems like it's just hearsay. End of the day. But who knows?
if you really want to know,
Honestly,
you'd have to run genetic analysis and talk
Yeah.
to Dr. Booth about that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That's
does,
that.
does he keep any? Do you guys keep any Texas? Or no? I like the Texas,
No.
just because like
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
theoretically
We almost grabbed some.
they're,
We
they're-
almost grabbed some.
so you can technically
but-
get fresh blood for them technically now.
Yeah.
To an
in
extent,
a sense.
I think you can collect. They changed it so that I think you can collect them in Texas as long as you don't have a commercial license, and you
Yeah.
bred them, and then you could probably sell them or gift them
Something
out of
like
state.
that, yeah.
You just if like you're so like every reptile breeder in Texas has to have their commercial license kind of thing, even if whether they're keeping native or not, right? To sell and whatnot. So if you
Yeah.
even if you're just a breeder of Alterna, you have it. Their database just shows that you've bred all that you've selling Alterna, and they don't know if it's all wild caught. Like you wild caught 200 Alterna, and you're selling them even though you're
Yeah.
obviously breeding them because their data doesn't collect that. So it's kind of finicky in that. And they have some weird whitelist and blacklist stuff where you can collect it if you don't have the permit. Like got some of those cool Coleonyx geckos and some
Yeah.
other oddball stuff. I'm not sure if Trimorphodon are on that or not, but yeah, that was just cool that you can actually get wild caught indigos if you needed it for fresh blood. Not that I don't think there's
Yeah,
many people
sure.
doing it though, because you can't do it if
No.
you have a commercial license. So
Correct. And a lot of the people doing it will be commercial breeders or something along the lines of. But yeah, we almost got some last Tinley, but the price was just a little too high with the exchange rate. So we just, for now, you find them again in the future. They're not terribly uncommon. But yeah, other than that, he also has, I forgot, the Cameroon Highland cave dwellers.
oh yeah, those are
They're
nice.
super nice.
So I've heard you a couple of times talking about animals you got at Tinley or at shows. So how does it work? You go to a United States show, you can grab animal A that is non-CITES and literally just walk it over the border? How?
No,
So
I mean,
how
yes
are you
and
doing?
no. The way I do it is anytime we go to the States, I go to help out my friend Josh Alder, the Exotic Empire. He's probably my biggest, oh, he is, not probably. He is my biggest US customer and he's a really good friend of mine. And he vends like all the major shows and everything. So because I have to babysit his animals forever, and that's like 100 plus animals at a time, I make him babysit the ones I find at the show, and then I just have Sam bring them across for me because it's just cheaper. Because we fly down, we can't just bring the snakes on a plane or anything. So I just do the Reptile Expressway and have Josh babysit for me, and he
But there
sends them
would
up.
be no way to get non-CITES animals and try to cross them at the border, right? Or
So, yes and no. I mean, a lot of people do it and say, oh, it's so easy, just tell them. That's actually not legal to do it that way. It's just because the officer, it comes back to the officer doesn't know. You're supposed to still have a U.S. Fish and Wildlife inspection. You're supposed to still fill out the 3177 form and declare them and go through the whole process and have. Ugh. Some say you need the U.S. Fish and Wildlife import permit, but I don't know if that's just commercial based or if that's also personal. But either way, you need to have that inspection with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and make an appointment. You just can't show up either. So there is actually, to do it legally, there's so many more steps to it. That's just, you have to pay for it anyway. If I have to pay $200-300 to go to U.S. Fish and Wildlife appointment, I might as well just pay that same amount and have Sam do it for me. And I'm doing nothing.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. And he does it like twice. He does twice a month, either direction too, in the
Something like that,
mid-season.
yeah.
So,
So
like, you
it's
might as
easy
well.
enough. I just do it that way so I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, people wonder why stuff costs so much, and they, as you two both know, right? There's a lot of hurdles to this kind of thing.
Correct.
And it is nice
Thanks.
to have the option to send stuff down there as well, right? Like I got the Kentucky pines and like Trans-Pecos rat snakes, which are cool, and everybody in the U.S. would love them, but
I love
up,
Trans-Pecos.
but up here, like nobody's even talking about them, right? So it's tough.
Yeah. They're super cool. They're big old buckeyes.
Oh yeah,
Ah,
I got the I had the pair of Wild Rose Pass finally produced for me. I think they were collected
Nice.
by the original founding stock was a pair collected by Craig Trumbauer and Jerry Salmon, I think. So yeah, it's kind of a cool story to have somebody like that start that project. And yeah, they're just normal
It is.
subocs that are red that have like kind of red and white, and I don't know, they're just cool.
I love the silvers,
Yeah,
personally.
yeah. Alrighty, Dom. What else do you want to touch on?
actually, I was going to go down another route. So I think one of the I'm going to go with endeavors that you went on with your company is making food like lizard juice and sausages and all that kind of fun stuff, which I know there's one
Yum.
retailer in the States that make it, which was not really accessible to us, but I'd love to know the story behind that. Like, how did you get into that? Or you just have like a big blender in the back and you put all your wild-caught animals in there and put them in sausage links? Like,
You're half
So
right.
I'm looking to see a
Half
bit
right.
because it's kind of a crazy thing to start, and I love it, and I think it's amazing that you put that stuff out for everybody else. So I'd love to kind of get the idea behind that or how you do it.
Sure. So how that all started, I kept red machete snakes. They're a South American colubrid that could get like around 9 feet long. Obligate frog eaters. They're super cool. They're super beautiful. Like just think. Of course he's gone. It's hard to explain it. It's a big red colubrid, like with the typical like Trimarchon like triangular shape
Frog
to
eater.
them.
It's all
But
good.
like, yeah, yeah, big eyes, like that's typical what I like to do. But yeah, it's a red machete or machete savant, they're called, or fire snake due to their color. But like obsessed with them. Another one of those impossible to keep things. Here, he's here. Look up Chironius scarulus. Chironius scarulus. Scurr. It should pop up.
I like this silence. It's really good for podcasting.
I remember the machete snakes.
There you go.
Those were really
Yeah.
cool. So, because you had a few and you were trying to make those work, but they were still like they're just super
Yeah, so
hard to get
those
going.
red guys are evil, demonic creatures of amazingness. So anyway, how it all happened was because they're obligate frog eaters, and you have this 6.5 foot female. You can't just feed them frog legs because that's not a complete diet. Like you're going to run into a lot of health issues in the long run. So they ate them, but it's not healthy for them at all. It's just not enough organ. There's not enough bone. It's not whole prey. It's not complete at all. So I'm like, how the heck am I going to feed this thing and not spend hundreds of dollars a month on frogs? Because living in Ontario at the time, you can't just go out and grab frogs. Like you could grab, I think, 15 leopard frogs if you could find them with your license, fishing license.
Frog legs? Are you talking about like going to like the Asian market, like GNT, and
Yeah.
just grabbing the big,
Correct.
like the prepackaged frog legs for human consumption? Okay, sorry.
Correct. So they're just not nutritionally complete, and I have a whole side story to that too with other things. So I was importing golden tree frogs from Vietnam through Europe en masse, like 300-400 at a time. But these frogs are this big. This snake could eat 20 of them, essentially. That's how big she was. So I'm like, how am I going to do this and feed her? So basically, like after I humanely euthanized the frogs, I'd backpack them and stick them in the freezer for like my Chinese false cobras and everything because they're frog eaters too. And so I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. What to do to get them nutritionally whole meal. So for a while, I was just slopping it with fish gelatin mixed with, I would blend frog legs, whole frog, and whole chicken together and just into a big, nasty, vomity looking mess. And I'd add fish gelatin to it and form it into a mold, and she would eat the heck out of it. Like, great. Like, that was the best way to feed her. It worked really well. But the problem was
form it
fish
into a mold.
gelatin.
What does that mean? Like you put that mush and freeze it, or the gelatin made it into a consistency?
Yeah, so you put it into a silicone mold.
Like you're making
And you
cookies
freeze
or
it.
like chocolates right now, right? Did you
Yeah.
use different
Exactly.
shapes?
Yes. So I'm another. That's gonna be a part of it too. So I would just do like basic like hot dog sausage molds for like the bigger snakes and everything. But the fish gelatin was not working because it melts at a very low temperature. So like 72 degrees, it's just bleh, like it just looks like something puked all over the cage kind of thing. So it wasn't working out. I figured out what gelatin to start using and at what mixture. So I was able to start making them on the regular. Yeah, there you go. So this frog, this lovely dead frog right here, my good friend in Ottawa, I don't know if you know Greg Nikitin, Beneath the Canopy. He made all of these designs in AutoCAD and 3D printed the molds for me, and then I made silicone molds out of them. So basically, I decided to diversify this because it was working. I'd say 95% of the time, an obligate frog eater eats this. So you get the odd super picky, like, ooh, what the hell is this? Because it's like fresh wild caught that doesn't want to eat anything. I diversified to geckos and then plain fish, fish and inverts. So like fish and invert will be like for monitors or other reptiles, like lizards, obviously reptiles, but like other lizards that can eat a bit of fish and mostly bugs. So I always have a whole multitude of different things. So there's like chicken, there's fish, there's like superworms, waxworms, discoid roaches, crickets, all melded into one for like just a wide variety of vegetables. Well, I saw bug grub, so I said vegetables because that's made of vegetables. So this is actually an omnivore diet, the bug grub. So it's chicken to some extent for protein, and then just 5 different veggies in there for your bugs for gut loading. But yeah, the fish and invert has a whole bunch of different bugs for nutritional variety. And the gecko one has geckos in it. I breed geckos for feeders. Sorry, gecko people, but things gotta eat.
Which geckos are those that you breed for feeders?
Cresties and mornings.
Well, they're ones that can feed on something that doesn't actually have parasites, right? Like it makes the most sense.
Exactly, they're all captive born and bred. So,
yeah.
And
I know.
the frogs.
I think it was. What is it? MJ spent the whole last year breeding Cresties to feed to his GTPs, and he ended up not even using any. Just a freezer full of Cresties that he never had to use.
He says he's got.
I got a whole ton too
in the freezer.
Oh, I believe it. That's literally what I'm at too right now. Just because geckos are a very sought after food item. And fun facts, I find a lot of lizard eaters don't care for geckos as much as like anoles or gommas, or because they like the little things that run and easier to catch than a gecko instead of smashing their face in a tree or something to grab it.
I forget which species it was. It might be one of the West Indian boas, but apparently it might be something else, but I believe it was they literally eat. It's Solomon Island tree boas or something. They want to eat the sleeping lizard, right? That's why the anoles work so well, is because anoles go to sleep at night, kind of thing. While
Correct.
gecko's moving around the whole time while the anole falls asleep at night, and then the boa can go and eat it.
Correct.
Kind of
yeah, and that's exactly it. So I look for all captive born and bred stock anytime I can. The frog is not, unless I could get a hold of like Pac-Mans or something, but I have to be very careful on the type of frog I use because so many frogs carry toxins, even if it's not toxic for us. Like White's tree frogs, people are like, why don't you use those? They have parotid glands, just like a toad, and they will eventually kill a reptile, unfortunately, but they will.
That's interesting. I never knew that. That's something cool. Is there any other
like those big lumps they have? It's a parotid gland.
That makes sense. It just doesn't, but it doesn't visually. You don't visually think of it. You're like, oh, it's just another tree frog. Oh, they're probably fine.
Correct. Yep.
Which for some species might be fine, right? Like, are your pseudoxenodon okay with it? While something that's a frog eater but not venomous might not be okay with it.
If you go through their like local animals, it'll be okay. Like an Australian species with an Australian species or Indo species with Indo species within the range, I'm not going to risk it though. So African dwarf frogs, African clawed frogs are another problematic species. They're not toxic.
I remember what it was. Was it you that said it, or was it somebody else?
You've probably seen a post I made about this recently.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So they're toxic. So they produce a very sticky mucus that will seal a snake's mouth shut and cause profuse burning. So whether it's dead or alive, you have that mucus still. So they're too small to use anyway. So I just, what I do when I import in the tree frogs, like I have them backpacked for 2 years in the freezer before I even touch them for like the Repti-Bites and everything. So that way, or if they're like farmed bullfrogs, then I could do that too. But either way, all frogs stay in the freezer for 2 years backpacked before I even touch them for any sort of Repti-Bite making.
So, have you ever thought about doing anoles scents and stuff? I know anoles are tough because, I think we had, was it Loftman? It was somebody on our podcast, and it might have not even been ours. It might have been one of the other 400,000 podcasts I listened to. But they talked about how every single anole has the pentastomes in Florida, and how
Oh, I'm sure.
like they're all like every single one they've tested has like 20 kind of thing. Like they're all every single brown anole is chocked full because they're in that stage of the life cycle of the pentastome. So like everybody feeding anoles is just giving their snakes pentastomes from
Yeah, so that's another funny subject, because nature, everything, whether you want to say they do or they don't, have parasites. Your cat has something, like it's just part of nature. Now, I don't encourage you guys to, oh yeah, parasites are good. Like obviously they're not, but
everybody
people,
gets tapeworms.
right? But at the same time, it's part of nature's course. Like they're eating these animals. If they have to eat live, you can't keep treating your pet and introducing toxins in their body over and over and over. Just let them deal with it. Let them have it. It's not going to cause any issues as long as they're stress-free. If you keep treating them, you're going to kill them eventually. And the whole anole thing, there's one issue that could come with that is when you have an Indo animal and you're feeding anoles to it. This is a parasite now. This species.
Well, isn't that
never.
Well, I believe it's the same pentastome that the Burms brought, which is why they were talking about it.
That makes sense, actually.
It is because they've obviously they found it now, and I think it's kind of hitting the pygmy rattlesnakes and stuff, and they've obviously found it in a bunch of other species. But yeah, no.
Yeah, I saw that recently too.
Yeah.
But let's just say it's another, not pentastome, but let's say a tapeworm from native to North America, and then you're feeding this to an Asian species. That's going to cause chaos, honestly, because it's a foreign, alien species at that point for the snake. But if it's something native like house gecko and the Asian species, you're not going to have really any issues because it's just something they are able to deal with. And a lot of the times, parasites are host specific. So it may or may not even affect the animal eating it. Obviously there are some that will, but not always. And that's just something I find, like, if you're going to be keeping those animals, it's just something you have to learn to accept. Like, bearded dragons get pinworm all the time from crickets.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was also like you get the anoles that have that, but then you got bearded dragon, you got crickets, which are full of parasites, as well as aren't earthworms full of some types of parasites too?
I'm not sure what earthworms have, I'm sure.
I read something that said that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like there's coccidia, which is prevalent with beardies, pinworm.
Coccidias is everywhere, right? It's like salmonella is everywhere. That from what I understand.
But a lot of it just comes from their own food that when bred en masse, farmed feeders will have, even farmed reptiles en masse, will have far more issues on average because they're just contaminating each other consistently. So when people say, oh, I need to make sure my animal's captive bred to have no parasites, it's going to have parasites. No matter what you do.
And like viruses too, right? Like you got one virus is in one thing and like it lives perfectly fine while it affects something else differently. But in the end, like probably everybody's animal has some sort of virus, whatever it is.
The human genome.
And it doesn't matter
what. The human genome is 8% virus, right? So it's just a way of looking at it. So it's everywhere.
Oh, I had no idea.
That's a cool stat that I heard.
But it makes some kind of weird sense. It's just life as we know it, right? It's everything works together in some creepy way.
So Ashley, let's go back to so you tried gelatin. I'm really curious about this food thing, so I want to stick back to it while Michael keeps taking us on tangents. So I got to bring you back. So
I like going on tangents.
So you tried gelatin, it didn't work. So now, how the heck do you keep all that mush together?
Oh, it's still gelatin. It's a different kind of gelatin. It's just not using fish and chicken and pork have a very low melting point. So I use beef instead.
And you warm
beef
it
gelatin
up.
has a very.
I take that. How do I serve it to the animal?
You thaw it out at room temperature, 75 degrees or lower, just to be safe. It could probably be a little higher, but just to be sure the temperature is in a safe zone where it doesn't melt, air thaw it for 30 minutes. It literally only takes 30 minutes to thaw at 75 degrees or less. And then you could cut it up, whatever. Usually you could cut it up. There might be the odd frog skin or something that gets in the way. But
it's interesting
yeah,
because heat is a pretty big thing for many animals, right? Their prey is usually warm, so
yeah. But I don't really cater to the boas and pythons in this case because they don't eat frogs or lizards or omnivore diets, you know. So like I do sell quail, but not in a gelatin form. So like unless it's a Candoya, but they're a cooler boa compared to, let's say, a carpet python.
So the next thing I gotta ask is, do you make any for snake-eating snakes? So do you make any? Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't put it on my website for reasons.
No, but like,
I mean, like the crested geckos were my test to see how people react, but I totally can and
do you
do.
mind if I ask
actually
you?
thought about yesterday.
But it totally makes sense, right? If you have, I'm gonna use, you know, what is it? Ophiophagus? Is that the word? Something like that.
Yeah.
So if you have a snake
Correct.
that eats other snakes, you need to feed him snakes. So then I gotta ask you, where do you source your animals? Do you have like a big breeder of ball pythons that gives you all their dead animals, or like there's got to be a way? So
Yeah, so I do a lot of like failure to thrive babies.
are they from yourself or
So
from
things
friends, or
Whether it's myself, friends, unfortunately they have ball pythons. If there's just a breeder has too many normals that they can't sell, they just get donated instead of, you know.
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I probably have every
No.
year, I'd say about 5 or 6 snakes that are born that are either deformed, that are either stillborn, that are all.
Yeah.
I just give them to womas. The womas always eat them, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, exactly. I always love that shit.
like I figure.
But it's the same
Yes,
concept.
I see nothing wrong with it. I mean, we feed a rat or we feed a gecko to another animal or we feed.
It's still a living animal. End of the day, part
I
of the
mean, we
circle of
eat
life.
other
You
animals,
know.
most of us. So, yeah. No,
And some could argue that feeding these animals not the proper diet is also like inhumane in a way. So it's
You're absolutely correct. Yep. So yeah, I absolutely do snake. They're always, always, always captive bred and always are death or euthanized, being completely healthy or in this case deformed, which and the animal itself is healthy to be eaten, it's just not for itself. If it's like missing eyeballs or something, you know. But I mean, it's just a fact of life. But yeah, so I do those as ordered, like when people inquire for it.
would you make?
and those are mostly for like dry, like you'd feed them to dry mark-on kind of thing, or
Fries,
so-
king
if
snake,
somebody,
smoked snake.
yeah, exactly, or maybe somebody actually has some venomous kind of thing, or they actually have a Ophiophagus hana kind of thing. Not that too many people probably do in Canada, but there's probably still
some.
people.
Any, do you make any of it for
There
like
are.
the larger animals? Like, would you make it in like in casings, like in sausage casing, or is it? No?
I tried sausage casings. The problem I have with that, and this is actually a big problem with the USA company, the smell isn't there. The casing blocks all of the natural prey smell. Because it's such a heavily washed, whether it's intestine or collagen that gets used, there's nothing there. So like with my sausages, you'll see like the frog or fish skin on it and stuff, and you could just smell it, and you could easily smell what kind of prey item that's in there. Whereas when it's cased, when I tried it, like I had to like marinate them in blended smells for public ears here, and it just was a waste, and it didn't make sense, and it's messy, and it's I just do gelatin.
And
So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
the last one.
Because what is it?
Go for it.
Or no, you
Okay,
go,
I was
Tom.
just gonna ask. The last one I want to know is, do you make any like? It's gonna sound really weird to say it like that, but like perfume,
That's fine.
like perfume scents to be able to spray on something else.
Yeah, so liquid scents.
I prefer.
I
Perfume.
do that for frogs. So if I have like a large farm bullfrog or something, I can't put the skin in the blender because I have to like, chop the frog up and whatever, blend it up. the skin will completely destroy my blades. So some skin stays on, like on the feet, like the webbing and stuff, but most of it I do have to skin the frog, and I put that aside to make sense.
That's pretty good though. That's a good use of the material that you got, right? Like you might as well.
Yeah, I gotta respect the animal, right?
You can make it.
You gotta struggle to do all that though, right? Like it's so hard to to love an animal but also use it as food. Like it's like the idea of like getting your kids a rabbit, play with it, and now we're gonna feed it to you.
Oh well, this is what Adam had to do, right? Remember Adam on Expert and the Idiot? He tried the rabbit thing, and then he's like, I can't do it, and then
it's hard at first, but I grew up on a farm with my dad, and so I've learned you can love an animal to death, but come time to kill it for food, you equally love and respect the animal for its life it's giving. It's not a useless death. Like, it's not needless. There is a purpose for it. So, like, I breed quail. I love my birds to death. Like, they're super cool. I love them to bits, but I eat them. Reptiles eat them. And I make sure they have the best life they can before their demise, right? So same with my rats and my mice. Like, they're not racked. They're in cages with cork and hay, and they get seed, and I give them bugs. Like, just make them little happy rodents before their food. So it's just farmer mentality, I guess. Like, I love them. Frogs are super cool, but at the end of the day, an animal has to eat.
I respect that. I totally 100% agree. If anything, I find it actually almost wrong that you can go to the superstore and buy your perfect rib or your, that perfect piece of meat that doesn't look like an animal. It kind of makes us blind to the truth of what it is.
Correct. And that's the big issue.
I personally have zero issues. I always think of it as like, it's hard to take down an animal that you love, right? It's easier to take down an animal when you're disattached or things like that. Like, just like when they talk about the Burmese pythons in Florida, I couldn't kill a Burmese python in Florida if I saw one, right? Like, because it feels wrong. Like, I would never do that.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike, you got any more things you want to talk about?
I kind of wanted to hit on like a little bit of how because I know you breed your own mice and rats. I wanted to kind of hear like how you do it and like what you feed, kind of thing. Because I'm interested. Because I hear what's his name down in El Paso, not Kush, but keeps a bunch of clobs and that. But he breeds his own rodents and he feeds them mostly seeds and stuff. He doesn't do the normal rodent block kind of thing, and I want to hear your interpretation of properly keeping rodents.
Gladly. So this was actually I was so badly just wanting to be like rage baiting the other day over something like this, actually, but I didn't. I was good. I was a good person. When people that like to breed rodents en masse say they ethically and morally raise their rodents when they're crammed in bins, it drives me freaking bananas, because we all know that's not moral, that's not ethical. Like, it's just fact of life. Like, that's not proper of how they should be. They should not be crammed in bins. They should not have wet tail. They should not have respiratory issues because they're crammed into a stale, humid area. No, I'm not saying that's everybody. Obviously that's not everybody, but a lot of breeders are like that. And with my guys, like, I'll just the rats quickly first. Like, I do have rodent block. Like, a lot of people do feed, but I very rarely feed that to them. That's like if I'm going on a trip for a week and I have a babysitter, like, hey, here's some rodent block to feed them. Or once a week I'll give it to them. But other than that, my rats, they get leftover. Like, they get our scraps, essentially. Like, when we cut up vegetables for dinner, we put the scraps aside, like the tops of the carrots and the skins. And if we have a steak and there's not like any sauce and stuff on it, we keep the bones for them to kind of pick at. And then I also feed them oxbow diet as well. It's pretty expensive, but it's one of the best rodent feed brands out there. in terms of their nutritional needs. So we rotate between the oxbow and the block, but they always get vegetable scraps or the meats, or like when I make my bone broth, all the scraps, because it's all just, there's nothing chemical or whatever in it, I just give it to them. And my mice too, like they freaking love that shit. So that's what they eat, and I have them in a 1.5 level cage. So like this is a classic like rat cage, I guess. They just kind of go up and down. They have their hides and things to chew and climb on. And my mice are all fed primarily seed. I rotate it significantly, so like, often I'll buy like the big, huge bags of like wild finch seed. You want to avoid sunflower as much as possible because they get really fat on it. And I find mice that are raised on rodent block get ridiculously fat. So like when you have the jumbo mice available, like they're just blobs of pancakes when you buy them from a lot of sources because they're fed on rodent block. Whereas my retired breeders are still very lean, and while they're smaller than the jumbos you see often, they're lean. Like I've done a few where I just kind of open them up and just check to be sure once I've humanely euthanized them. And their fat content is minimal in comparison to like the pancake you buy down the street. And I find the rodent block is causing more harm than good, not just to the mouse, but also to the animal you're feeding it to. So people think, oh, mice are lean, let's feed it to this colubrid. You're actually going to be killing that snake very slowly because you're just feeding it a blob of fat. And I've seen this firsthand, not my own personal animal, but I did a loose necropsy on a snake that was fed jumbo mice, and there was just fat everywhere. And that's purely because of the mouse being a jumbo rodent block fed mouse. So yeah, my guys, like I give them hay, they nest with it, they chew on it, they get bones, and when we get there's like a weed we get here that's totally edible. It's like a mini peas almost. I'll rip those up in the summer, throw it to them. They pick at it and they eat the pea things that are inside the pods.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and yeah, I rotate all their seeds as much as possible, and they also get oxbow diet in between. They don't love it so much. They definitely prefer the seed, but yeah, they do so much better.
That's pretty cool. And then you're obviously putting in, are you just using mealworms, crickets, a little bit of everything, black soldier flies, or in terms of...
to feed them?
Yeah. Or
what?
Like, because you mentioned that you were feeding a little bit of insect to...
Oh, yeah. So all my birds and my rodents get bugs too. So I do a mix of black soldier fly, mealworms, crickets. I rotate it all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think once I move, I think I might probably get another tank of rodents going. It's nice to have at least the option to breed a few, raise them up, and feed them off, kind of thing. Because the animals that you keep as breeders seem to, even if you're feeding them off live, for some reason, rodents that you breed, your animals seem to like them way more than when you buy rodents from other people. Kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And
I find that's very much true.
Yeah, I used to keep rodents, just rats, mainly as pets for the kids, but I had one of those gigantic bird cage, bird or ferret cage. I don't know, they're 6 foot talls. They're
ferret nations,
exactly those. So I would keep exactly that. They were great for keeping and for that, and I had 1 male to 4 females for that cage. And it's insane the amount of babies they would pop out. But my issue was that as soon as you had 5 rats in there, I had to clean it every single day or else it smelled horrible. And I was spending more times taking care of 5 rats than my entire collection.
Yeah.
And
so I find you're not wrong, but there's actually a fix to that.
Go.
Yeah. Diet and the type of bedding you use plays a huge role.
Diet was the scraps from our house. I'd use that all the time because that was just easier, and
Yeah.
like the amount of compost we throw out is so easy.
Yep.
The bedding, yeah, I probably just had the typical bedding on the bottom. I tried like using towels and things like that you kept removing. That was
Oh,
horrible.
yeah, that's terrible. So the shavings actually play like, so you can have the normal shavings, like the big aspen chunks. You have the ones that are like half the size, but then you have like fine, almost, I don't want to say dust, but they're like shredded. For whatever reason, the shredded shavings last so much longer. Like I had to clean my guys every day, every 2 days with the bigger chunks. But the fine shaves, like the shredded stuff, like could go a
Is
week
that like
without any issue.
the sandy chips or?
That actually works amazing. Like the beta chip and all that.
Yeah.
It's just so expensive.
Yeah.
So I just go to the local master feeds place and I buy the big bales of extra kiln dried shredded pine. Works perfect.
Oh yeah.
Like no smell. Even my birds, they used to be a little extra smelly when I was using the bigger flakes. But on this stuff, nothing.
Interesting. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's weird. In Canada, it's kind of hard to find quail breeders. Like out here in Vancouver, there seems to be at least a few where you can get quail for pretty cheap because we got the restaurants out here that'll use the Caturnix. But then in other places, like you get adult quail for like $2-3 kind of thing, and it's like, well, this is better than you feed 2 quail or a medium rat, right? Like it just makes that much more sense. But then other places, they don't have the luxury of having cheap quail.
Yeah. And it's finding the sizes in between because it's always large quail you could find. I've noticed anyway. So
quails?
yeah.
Do you have any button quails? You do? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So like Dale buttons are like my main seller because they're size of a fuzzy mouse, so you can't find that anywhere.
For like the tiny little button quails.
Yeah, I have about 40 buttons. So.
Oh yeah, those are cool because like they're like the perfect for like getting baby chondros or like I guess they would maybe be a little big for some of that stuff, but like
Still
you never
a little
know.
big for chondros, but the heads of a button will be perfectly fine for them.
Yeah, exactly. Or baby carpets that aren't feeding great, right? Like diamonds.
It'll be perfect.
Finicky
Button
ears.
will be
What I
perfect
do
for a
is
carpet.
I bought a couple of just big quails, but I just I keep them in the freezer. I give them a nice haircut. I use all that, and I just spread their little tiny feather chunks over everything, and that's how I do it.
Yeah.
Like I have quail, but I don't actually feed off the quails. I
That makes sense. It's use the
Exactly.
down and everything, right? Wet the food and then stick it.
It's like crack on everything. So
Yeah. No, I love quail. Like using quail as feeders, and like if you need to use live for whatever reason, quail are completely safe compared to rodents. They have one brain cell that just, boop, so they're not going to do anything to a snake, thankfully.
That's good.
But yeah, they're bulletproof in terms of feeders. I love using them
Awesome.
because everything here basically is 80% quail diet.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what I would like to do, kind of thing. I find the quail's a bit leaner and better. Although, what is it? I think Lockman did do something where he like looked into it and he said the quail was like the equivalent to mice. But maybe that's on the commercial quail diet stuff compared to commercial mice.
Yeah, it all comes down to what you're feeding them, end of the day, and the age of the quail. Because if it's an older individual, they're quite fatty when they're put on a commercial diet.
I've always wondered.
That would make sense.
Wondered when it comes to like chicks. Are chicks really that much better? Because they're more like commercialized, and you can get them for so cheap. Like it's insane how cheap. I'm curious. You probably know, so I'm curious. I tend to buy 100 or 200 chicks a year, and it's just as extra food with everything else, right?
So I'm assuming we talk about chicken chicks, right? Yeah. So chicken chicks, they're good to feed like in rotation. I wouldn't do them exclusively because their bones aren't firmed up yet. They don't have enough calcium. Like they have a lot of yolk, which is full of good nutrients, but it's also very high in fats. Now, I'm not saying your animal's going to be getting fat off of that because it's not that kind of fat, but you're going to have a lot of fecal issues going on and runny, like super, super runny stools. Sometimes they can't digest it properly and they don't absorb everything the same. So what I do in that case, I just use a 3-week-old quail instead because they're the same size as a day-old chick. And you could use that because the bones are way more firm. They have no yolk in them. Like they're just a hearty food item at that point, and they have mixed different nutrients because they've been eating their own different foods, like here, like the bugs and their wild game diet and all that, and their veggies. So they have much more nutritional density than they would a day-old chicken chick. That's very whatever was in the egg, and that's it. And there's nothing to them quite yet. Whereas, interestingly enough, quail chicks, especially buttons, they absorb all of their yolk within 4 to 8 hours. So by the time I pull them out of the incubator, like they might have a little reminiscence of yolk, but it's almost all gone. So they're just a little meaty nugget at that point. Whereas your chicken chick takes 48 to 72 hours to actually absorb all that yolk, but they're cold immediately. So all you're feeding is liquid, essentially. Now it's great nutritional, like bam into your snake, but just don't do that all the time. But it's really good just to if you have like a snake that's not great, I would definitely recommend feeding a chicken chick just to get a dense load of good nutrients and fat into them.
Or when you're like, say you're breeding some colubrids and kind of thing, whether to bounce her back or maybe before she lays,
like
give her
a day-old chicken chick would be fantastic for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We do one order every year, and it's purely just to, again, have all the down for scenting. And I mean, 200 chicks when I have about 80 animals. Shen has about 160. That's 1 or 2 feedings and they're done. Right? So it's
that's nothing. That's
whatever.
whatever.
1 or 2 just purely because it's insane how cheap it is. Like you can get them for under 50 cents a chick. Like considering the price of rats now, to me it's the best bang for your buck. But it's a good explanation. Again, we don't do it all the time. Maybe you could just get the chicks that are 2 weeks old. Would that be better? Or yeah.
I mean, quail wise, because that's the same size. Yeah, that's definitely the best nutritional value for the same size. And you could basically use that as an entire diet. And like rats are great too for some species like the pythons. But you also have to be careful because once you start hitting the large, extra large, you're just getting fattier and fattier. You're not getting more meat. You're just getting more.
But see, to me, the problem is that people just overfeed the crap out of their animals, right? Like.
Oh, absolutely.
It's one of those things where at one point people tend to learn, like, nothing in my entire room eats for about 5 months of the year. Nothing in here has eaten since October. And I'm not...
Makes sense,
because I'm not feeding for a long time, and then... But when you're just a keeper and you just do it for fun, people don't stop feeding. They just feed all year round and continuous and continuous. That's why I'm not...
And
go for it.
No, and when people do that, they don't realize it's actually better to feed smaller meals more often. So the animal keeps burning, they keep using their energy, and they stay leaner. They're not storing the fat because they're in the thought process of, oh, I don't have to. I'm not going. Okay, how do I word this? I'm not in a dry season where I'm not going to see prey very often. This is a good season. There's food coming, and small prey means less fat. Generally speaking, like a 2 small rats versus, I don't know, a large medium or a large rat in general. It's healthier than that large. And if you're just doing that a little bit more often, you're going to have a leaner snake than the snake that's eating the large or extra large less often.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all.
And even if you're just keeping a pet snake, like I remember working at pet stores and they always want to feed their ball python every week, and it's like, well, you could just feed once a month, feed just 12 meals a year. You'll be just fine. Exactly. Or you could do more of like the seasonal of, even if you're not breeding it, you could still seasonally feed it, give it 3-4 months off, and then also in the summer, maybe spread it out a little bit, and then in fall and spring, kind of give some meals back to back to an extent. But it's all
like the way you do with your carpets. It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, so Ashley, with your
I was gonna go right down the
where
same
do you
place.
see where do you see Northern Lights reptile imports going in the next 5 years?
So I'm gonna start refining a little bit in terms. So the last couple of years, I've had to really just do shipments, just with life and everything. And now I really want to start focusing and refining on, like, I already make sure I do a lot of quality control and everything's as good as it gets. But I want to up that. Whether that means I might be doing one less shipment a year, but I really want to make sure the best of the best is what's getting offered. Indonesia is a big one this year in terms of new species coming into Canada. It's actually a pretty freaking cool list already. Like, a bunch of smaller monitor species will be coming into Canada that really haven't been around. We're planning to do a China shipment this year, and just kind of exploring new areas to have the hobby learn what actually is out there. Now, again, like, I have the US, they already know what's up down there, but in Canada, I want to start pushing, hey, there's other species in this world, and teaching people that you could expand and learn past and beyond, like, what we currently have in this hobby. So that'll be my big thing, is focusing on newer species of high quality standards to introduce and have this hobby just explore more.
That's pretty cool. Because I remember seeing that Chris's list for the Indo stuff, and like seeing coli and some really oddball monitors on that list, and even the Lanthanotus, right? Like, obviously there's some US guys that have been breeding them and people in Europe too, but like having that option to get some farm raised and captive hatch stuff, right? Like, that's just pretty cool to see. And then bring in more Mollendorf.
I can.
So yeah, that's the other thing. So with that China stuff, what are you planning to bring in from China? Because I know some cool. I bet Dr. Loffman would definitely want to hear what you're bringing in from there.
I'm gonna pull up the list. Hold on a second. So, like, there's some things we could do on request in a sense, but so for sure we'll be doing, for me, some of the Chinese false cobras, because I'm a sucker for punishment. Macropistodon rudis, which is another type of, like, a mock viper, false habu viper they're called. I don't know if you want me to spell that, if you want to look it up or not.
Yeah,
just let me know if there's anything.
When I think of those, or no, maybe I'm thinking of Jordan Eye, because I'm thinking of the David Eye, because I remember David Eye are pretty cool.
Oh, your left David Eye. Yeah, no, not those. Macropistodon, Macro. Pisthodon. So basically, large tooth is the genus.
Ooh,
I love etymology.
I got dinosaur for some reason. Macro.
What?
Oh, no, now I got it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember these on your list. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm assuming it's like these guys?
Yeah, it'll be those guys.
Oh,
so the rudis.
Pseudokistrodon.
That's their other synonymous genus. So Pseudokistrodon and Macropistodon, the two are the same. Yeah, that's one of them as well. So there's those. We're looking at, for very specific keepers, mostly to the States, will be Rhabdophis, like the tiger keelbacks. Not those ones, but that same genus.
Yeah, because these are poisonous snakes, right?
Yeah, they're venomous and poisonous, like rear fanged.
Yeah.
But just a little bit spicier, so those would be for experienced people only. Rain snakes, definitely the black-eyed green cat snakes.
Those are cool. So is it going to be all like Fernatum? Are you going to get Belongeri on there too, and Prasinum?
Prasinum I get out of Thailand, so I don't bother with those.
Oh, okay.
And
because I know China.
Yeah,
that's how Bobby Pebbles got. Because was it Bob Rock got that Klaus stock from Pro Exotic? He got that stuff, and then at some point Cameron brought in 2 shipments of Chinese Belongeri, and then obviously recently there's been a couple that come in through Indo, I want to say. But yeah, they're I know it's pretty limited, but but China has been on their list for possibility of them.
Yeah, so with China and the rhino rats, so you have Hainanense, so which are the newer species of Rhynchophis that have been, I guess, discovered. They've been there the whole time. There's no one really knew
Yeah,
what
I think some people
the
are.
difference.
Some of the rhino guys like Bobby Pebbles are just a little skeptical on it, just because of the gene the specimen count is a little small. But like it's either way, it's at least a
Yeah.
locality at the very least, right? Even if it
Yeah, at the
changed
very
back, it's
least.
still a locality,
Yeah.
so that's still pretty cool, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, other than that, we're looking at getting more of the black-lined green rat snakes, the Pitaius nigromarginatus.
Oh yeah. Those guys are
Yeah.
another frog eater, right? Like those guys haven't done too well.
Yeah, but they
from what
take
I've heard.
scented quite well.
Yeah, yeah,
They,
yeah.
they, they do take scented quite well. We're not bringing in babies because babies do poorly, but we find yearlings do fantastic. So the guy that we're dealing with, he breeds them, and so he's holding a bunch back, and it's gonna send like 6 to 12-month-old babies, and some king rats as well, like locality king rats. Yeah, I mean, we could get Mollendorfi too, but he recommended we don't because they don't take to the travel very well for
Oh.
whatever reason.
And they're probably are some of these wild caught or no? I'm not sure how China works with all of it.
Yeah, so it just depends on who the seller is. Like, if as long as you have a permit and a farm, you're good.
Okay.
But like some will be captive hatched, some will probably be like long-term captives, but most of the things coming in will be captive born and bred. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
So no, what is it? No brand new species of what was that one that they described right before Kevin Messenger put out the book? There was that new species of Elafe that has like the teeth.
Oh God, yes.
What is
The ones that look like the Jordan's pit viper or whatever.
Yeah.
Jordoni. Yeah, it's like Elaf XI.
Oh yeah. It had
P
the,
something.
yeah, I got it.
Something Dante, Zyphodonte or something like that. No, because they cost $10,000.
oh yeah, because they already are in the hobby, right?
Yeah, they're captive born and bred. Like they're being bred there in China already, but not for the price. It's just, I mean, they're cool as shit, but no one's prepared to pay that yet.
Yeah.
So
They're-
until the price goes down a little bit, no. Like I've been shown like proof of captive breeding, like whether it's captive hatch, captive breeding, I don't know, but like I have parent pictures. I've had eggs. I've seen hatching eggs.
Oh yeah.
They're definitely there.
Yeah, I think
It's just-
we all saw that post. I think a couple weeks ago or in the last month of definitely somebody posted like the captive in the rack kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then
And
there's
we've seen some from the supplier too, but not worth it. Those are cool. I've imported those from Europe. There's a guy in Ontario with them now.
oh, that's awesome.
Two unrelated. Yeah,
That's awesome.
they're super cool.
They almost look like the Escalapians, but like as if they were Orthriophis.
Like- Yeah, they're Escalapian mixed with like Centicalis almost.
Yeah, that right. It's that vibe, but then almost that like there's a little bit of Escalapian in there too, almost
Yeah,
with like that
totally.
pattern. Yeah, that's super.
Yeah,
neat.
I totally agree. They're super cool. But yeah, that's the general gist of this year. Like we may even go to China for a little bit this year to kind of really see what the process is.
Because
Like we've done one China before,
okay.
but
Can you export to China, or is it only to Hong Kong?
Hong Kong for export. But I think I have to look more into that because there's a lot of like people in mainland that do have like garters and stuff, and they openly post it. So probably it's just what the
I
steps
remember
are. I
hearing
never looked
rumors
into
that like, oh, it's all illegal there and you can't have anything. But then I don't know, like they used to at least like a
They have
lot.
so much stuff there,
Like
man.
they were buying up tables of stuff the last 20 years, right? They just show up to
Yep,
the
yep.
classic Daytona show. Yeah, these guys just bought like cash in
Yeah, a
hand,
lot of them
just
are
boom.
from Hong Kong.
Yeah,
But like the misconception with China is that everything coming out of China is legal, like mainland China, not Hong Kong. So yes and no. A lot of it is, but it comes back to as long as you are a farm holding a permit for certain species, don't matter. It's totally legal.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty. That's good to know because they're definitely a good market for some of our stuff too, in terms of stuff
Yeah,
that's not common even here, that's not common there, kind of thing. And they have
correct.
hungry breeders out there, so that's always
Yeah.
cool to see. Awesome. Alrighty, Dom. Do you have any other questions?
Nope. I think I'm good to close it out when you are. Did you want to talk about our sponsor real quickly? Advertisement, Mike?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'll have to get in the groove of this, but yeah, Reptile Rejects is proudly sponsored by Cornell's World and the Western Canadian Reptile Show. If you have any cage needs or supply needs, if you're looking for anything kind of thing custom done in terms of PVC cages or even glass cages, Greg West can help you out. You can go visit his site, cornellsworld.com, and go give them a follow on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And yeah, we're happy to be sponsored by Cornell's World, as well as check out if you're in southern Alberta, check out the Western Canadian Reptile Expo. You can go to their site and pre-buy tickets, and if you're looking to vend, they're filling up quickly. So they have an April show, they have an August show, and there's even a June show in Medicine Hat. So go check that out.
Very nice. And Ashley, did you want to give any of your information if anybody wants to reach out to you for either your personal or your company?
So to reach out to me, it's always best. Like for the quickest answer is my personal. If you ever need to talk to me, my business page is pretty accessible too for messaging me. Emailing too, but a lot of my stuff goes to spam for some reason, so that's not my first choice of contacting me. It's always through Facebook, whether business or personal. And I post anything that's offered to me on my page is, I guess, first before my website. But I do post a lot on my website as well. Just everything is usually on my pages, no matter what. So if you want to get like dibs on something that might not even be on my website, just make sure you keep an eye out on that. On Northern Lights.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ashley. It was awesome having
No
you
problem.
on.
Agreed, Ashley. Really, really.
Thank you as well.
For everybody for reaching me, Dom's Reptiles. For reaching Michael, it would be Michael Gillian on Facebook. On Facebook for me, it's Dominique Carbonneau. For the Reptile Rejects, it's Reptile Rejects on Instagram and Reptile Rejects basically on Facebook. Click all those little fun buttons, subscribe, or anything that helps us. So everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thanks, Ashley, for coming on. Really, really appreciate it.
No problem.
And to
Thank
everybody,
you
good
as
night.
well.